And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Happy Friday. You have made it, ladies and gentlemen. You are here. We've arrived. Just one more good day of the grind. And then it's time for a great sports weekend. Of course, it is our first weekend without the highest levels of football, though we do have a little XFL action kicking off tomorrow. We might get into that later on in the radio broadcast. We've got a decent slate of NBA games upcoming. If you're a Shooty Hoops fan, now's our time to shine. The Genesis Invitational is taking place right now. Eldrick Tiger Woods went back-to-back birdies for the first time in 3 years yesterday. Shoots a 69, nice in his opening round at the Genesis. He is 5 off the lead and back, dog.
Does anybody else play golf other than Tiger Woods?
I'm glad you said that because, Lonzo, if you will look right here on our show prep sheet, it actually says the impact of Tiger at the Genesis is undeniable. How can golf and any other sport recreate his success? Would you look at that? Lonzo out here with the prognostication, ladies and gentlemen. He is that one famous guy who made all those really vague predictions that some came through and some did not of the show.
You mean Nostradamus?
That's the one.
I apologize for my voice, but my sinuses are going nuts. So you might be getting Lorenzo for the entire day because that's the only way I can make my voice work.
Lonzo slapped the "Play Like a Champion Today" sign on his way in. Playing hurt, but playing nonetheless.
I actually was told by the boss that I could bring someone in and go, but I'm already here.
Yeah, but that's look, Mike played with the flu, all right? I mean, it was a hangover, but like he played with the flu. The flu. Mike was hungover. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's a lot wrong with it, but there's nothing wrong with that. They won the game. Anyway, Lonzo's here. And we'd ask how he's doing, but the answer is,
If you want to know how I'm doing, you can see the bags underneath my eyes and how low my eyelids are drooped live on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
More importantly, Lonzo's always made fun of my NPR voice, yet here he is breaking one out today. We're going to get you through it, big dog.
We're having a lovely bit of weather outside today, and I am giddy, can't you tell by my voice? I'm just so excited, like butterflies are within my belly, just flying towards a beautiful sky. Yeah, I'm going to say weirder stuff than I normally do.
Cool.
I apologize.
Yep.
I just, you know.
Yep. It's all good. So we'll get into that later on in the radio broadcast. I want to open with this. It's Friday, and you know we save up the dumb stories.
You know, I totally threw you off there. You said we're going to get to that later. We're going to talk about the butterflies flying towards the sky.
I was talking about the Tiger Woods thing.
Oh, okay, all right.
But yeah, I mean, we can talk about butterflies in the sky. I can go twice as high. Take a look. It's in a book with Reading Rainbow. I can go anywhere.
Yeah, I was too old for Reading Rainbow. So
no, nobody's too old for Reading Rainbow.
No. What I mean,
Burton was LeVar, Bob Ross, Bill Nye, Mr. Rogers, all on the Fantastic Children's Programming Hall of Fame.
All I saw is Jordy reading books, but I was like in my 20s by the time that came out. So
Reading Rainbow, what a blast from the past. Two officials in the great state of Florida have just advanced a bill that they are trying to push through that I find very interesting. And I don't think it's anything that's ever going to catch on in our state, but I do find it interesting. According to WCTV out of Tallahassee, Florida, Senator Corey Simon and Florida Representative Taylor Yarkowski have proposed a measure in each chamber of the state house that would allow police to charge anyone and subject them to a maximum fine of $2,500 and or a year in jail, Lonzo, for storming a field. The measure allows police to charge anyone.
Oh, wait, this is in Florida?
This is in Florida.
So they don't have to worry about it. Because if you don't win, you don't rush the field, right? Isn't that how that works? You got to win to rush the field. This is one of those bills to make it look like you're doing your job, although you're not really. And they know as well as everyone else that Florida is a horrible team, and they're never going to have to rush the field because they ain't going to win.
You know, like I know you meant that as a shot at the University of Florida, and I respect you for that. But you done took down everybody in the Sunshine State at the same time. You took down Miami. You took down Florida State. You took down UCF. You took down USF. You took down FAU. You took down FIU. You took down FAMU. You done took down the whole state.
You're not impressing me that you know all those teams. You grew up there, so you should know.
You also just absolutely Clint Eastwooded my entire home state. You know that.
You're welcome.
Didn't say thank you. Anyway.
So is this because of destruction of property and they want to make sure that, that they don't have to rebuild things like goalposts after they're torn down? Or is this a safety issue?
They are claiming that it is a safety issue. Republican Senator Corey Simon of Tallahassee introduced SB 764, which is called the Interference with Sporting or Entertainment Events Bill. He introduced that on Valentine's Day. It would make it a first-degree misdemeanor, which carries up to a year in jail and fines up to $2,500 if someone enters a, quote, covered area, end quote, in a stadium or venue. The area is defined as, quote, any area designated for use by players, coaches, officials, performers, or personnel administering a covered event that is on or adjacent to the area of performance or play. The bill also applies the same penalties on those who drop, toss, or throw any substance, object, or dangerous instrument in that covered area. A person who strikes, slaps, or kicks anyone while in the covered area would also face those penalties. Republican Representative Taylor Yarkowski of Mount Verde also introduced a similar bill in the House of Representatives.
I'm just a bill.
On Capitol Hill. So you're in the Schoolhouse Rock generation.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I what's the difference between tossing and throwing? Because in that, you cannot toss or throw. Aren't they the same thing?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with common vernacular here.
I'm doing that thing where you actually read the bill, something that most people,
just spend time getting mad at it.
You can't know what's in it till you pass
I'm going to go with a toss is usually softer and intended to be received by the subject, whereas
a toss is like for a beanbag type thing. So,
like if you're on the other side of the room, you'd be like, hey, toss me that thing. There you go. You can also throw something to a person, but ordinarily a throw is going to be a little bit more with intent than a toss. But I think in this case, this is one of those things where they got to put all the verbs, because if it just said throwing an object on the playing field and somebody got busted, there's going to be a lawyer that hits the floor and goes, Your Honor, he did not throw the water bottle at the player. He tossed it to the player. And the toss of a water bottle is not restricted by this act, and it would work. Anyway, a year in jail for storming the field. So let's say that the year is 2024. The Clemson Tigers are coming off of a playoff berth in 2023. They're playing down in Tallahassee, Florida. They come into that game ranked number 2 in the country. Florida State is ranked, or 24, 25. Maybe they're unranked. I don't know. They knock off the number 2 team in the country, a playoff team. Why do we hate fun so much? Like, why do we hate fun so much? I don't get it. Like, who cares?
You know what I don't get? I don't get storming the field. I don't get that. I just maybe it's because, Ohio State always wins, so there's no need to storm the field and
if
surprise.
you want to be an elitist snob and say,
you can look at it that way.
fans never need to storm the field.
No, the other thing is, so what's the purpose? I've always wanted to know what's the purpose. I guess to enjoy the win. Well, you just saw them win. You're still not a part of the team, even though you went on the field. Is that what it is? You think you're part of the team because you get to touch the playing surface? Have you ever stormed the field, Rob?
I've stormed a court. I've not stormed a field, but I have stormed a court. My response would be,
if you storm the field, I believe that you are opening yourself up to clotheslines or, chop blocks, whatever, because you came, down where.
Chop blocks are illegal, 15-yard penalty. Can't do that.
Well,
Clotheslines from hell, also, I believe, unacceptable.
Storming the field, also illegal.
No, it's not yet. But it might be October 1st, 2023. Why would you take the fun out of sports?
I don't understand the purpose of storming the field. That's what
it's just fun. It's just a celebration. It's fun. It doesn't hurt anybody.
What makes it fun going down there and putting people in jeopardy, especially players and coaches of the opposing team, when there's like 10,000 people out on the field and they can barely move? We've seen instances where you could see panic and the cops have to come in and get the opposing players out and everything. I just don't understand.
Fields have been stormed for 1,000,000 years. Can you cite me a single time where an opposing? Now we've had some scuffles, we've had some dust ups, sure, but that's going to happen regardless. Can you name me a single time where somebody got dinged up or banged up? I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I'm asking off the top of your head. I can think of 10 field stormings in the last year or two, and they all work out just fine. Auburn wins the game over Alabama on the kick 6. What year was that? Like 2016? Auburn wins in the kick 6. The Auburn fans have one of the greatest victories of all time in the Iron Bowl rivalry. Their fans stormed the field, and it led to one of the most iconic images.
All right,
that iconic rivalry is given to me all the time.
There are a ton of stories about this, including Coastal Carolina. At least 5 people were injured after Coastal Carolina fans stormed the field following their upset win over App State. This was actually last year.
Okay, fine. It happens. But it's still fun. How many people stormed the field?
A bunch.
Let's say 12,000. That's a conservative estimate.
Another story says a few broken bones reported after fans stormed the field. USA Today, someone is going to die when fans rush quarter field.
Okay, that's a little dramatic.
Tennessee football fans suffer serious injury, storming the field.
All right, I am willing to bet that for every injury caused by storming the field, the same amount of people got dinged up in the concourses, going to the seats, falling down the stairs, the stairs between the bleacher sections.
Yeah, gee, I wonder what led to that.
Those bleacher stairs are steep, man.
Yeah,
they're steep.
Especially when you can't see very well because your vision's a little blurry. I am not trying to kill your bit here.
You are killing my vibe and my buzz and my bit.
But there have been injuries, so I can understand why they're wanting to do this. And I don't understand the thrill of storming the field. And really, it still comes down to, and I'm not cracking on any other team but Florida, they don't have to worry about it.
I will give the Gators this. They don't really storm the field that often. I've only seen them do it like once, maybe, that I can recall when I was broadcasting down in Florida. I think Florida State's more likely to storm the field. Miami storms the field, Lonzo, but there's only like 17 people there. So it's Miami really
Is that really
they
it?
like drizzle the
I was gonna
field.
say, it's really not a storm.
Yeah, they sprinkle the field. What a chaotic scene here at Coral Gables as the Miami Hurricanes have finally won a football game, and all 14 fans have taken to the field to show their pleasure.
Steven says, that's why I'm Clemson. We don't storm. We meet at the Paul. For what? What do you meet at the Paul for? Clemson has been one of the top teams for how many years now?
Because celebrating with other fans is fun. Lonzo.
Yeah, that's what you do in the stands.
It's fun.
How about acting like you've been there? I mean,
I hate that phrase so much.
Act like you've been there.
Can I tell you how much I hate I despise the phrase "act like you've been there before."
You know what I love? I love pain because I'm making Rob yell, and every single yelling hurts, and it's all my fault, and I know it's my fault. But yeah, act like you've been there.
Never say the phrase "act like you've been there." I hate that phrase so much. Don't enjoy yourself. The audacity of you having fun because of a game. No. You act like you've been there. Hey, I got to tell you, I've been to the New Orleans Superdome like 48 times. And when I go for number 49 for the next game and the Saints score, I am going to pop like it's the greatest moment of my life. I've been there lots of times, but I'm not going to act like I've been there before, because acting like you've been there before is boring.
Acting like you've been there before is a winning mentality. So I mean, some people don't. I'm not saying it's you, because I've seen you win. But acting like you've been there is kind of you can celebrate without hurting people. That's all I'm saying.
Act like you've been there before.
Don't you make fun of my voice? I'm doing my best.
I hate that phrase so much. All right, let's take a break. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up on the radio broadcast, we have got a lot of things to do, a lot of things to cover on a Friday. We have spent quite a bit of time this week on discussing the quarterback position up in Charlotte for the Carolina Panthers. And we've landed on a bunch of different thoughts of what the Panthers should do. Lonzo wants to sell the farm to get CJ Stroud. Rob says bring in a proven veteran, whether it's Rodgers, Garoppolo, Jackson, Carr. Bring in a vet that can kind of hold you over, because I don't believe that any one of the dudes up top is the guy. But the majority of you guys that have interacted with us this week have said you believe CJ Stroud is the guy, including Lonzo, including Rashad Beard. So what might a trade from number 9 up to number 1 look like to get CJ Stroud? I've put together a couple of thoughts on what that trade might cost, and I'll see if the cost-benefit analysis works out for Lonzo to keep his plan in place. We'll do that next. I'm Rob. He is the great one. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show, the sturdiest sports talk show in South Carolina, right here on the Fan Upstate.
What made me laugh? That hurts worse.
Well, act like you've been there before, Lonzo.
I know.
Kevin said, I'm starting to think y'all script out your arguments because it's so damn funny. Lonzo and I don't script anything on this show.
Listen, Kevin, everything's a work.
Everything's a work.
Everything's a work. I should turn that off. We'll say this. We both have kind of an idea of how the other one will react to something, but we will surprise each other sometimes too. And you're not going to get a lot out of me because I need to go home and go to bed.
Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly.
We're done here. I'm going to go home, and I'm not going to talk till 7 o'clock tomorrow night. I will say, Steven, theaters have raised their prices again. It was not the spectacular thing. You come out going, oh, man, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they did that. But it was pretty good. I think it was missing a couple things, but The effects were good. The acting was good. Cassie's a little whiny, but you know. But I think people forget this is the beginning of phase 5, so it can't be spectacular to the degree where then you got to top it in the next one. The after scene credits, both of them really, really good. All the creature work was really good too. Dayquil does work for me, Kevin. The problem is, even though it's supposed to make you, it's supposed to be non-drowsy, it knocks me out. So it's really hard for me to take medicine at work. I can take like some aspirin or something to take the edge off of a headache, but I'm done if I take too much. Actually, in my theater, there wasn't that many people in there because they were playing on a bunch of screens, so no one left before the what I was talking about is the two after credit scenes are very, very good. And I'm not doing that thing where stay till the end. No, there are no ants playing the drums. This is it's setting things up for what's to come because this is the beginning of phase 5. And Kang's the big bad for several movies, so he's not going to be, well, I don't know how to describe it, but. March the 2nd through the 6th for the 2023 Ingles SoCon Basketball Championships. Experience fun for the whole family. As your championship and a berth to be Yes, Steven, you should trust me. I just said it's not one of those. And plus, I have a tell. I do. I smile when it's a joke. I'm not smiling. It's not because I'm sick either. It's well worth waiting for the last one. The mid one's pretty good too because you learn scope. That's the last thing I'll say.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is. Coming up on a Friday episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel. Baseball season is upon us. Pictures and Kendrick reporting so many changes to national pastime. Are these changes going to make baseball better? Plus, national senior college football column.
What's a dot store? I'm guessing it's like an ABC store. Rob, what's a dot store?
I don't know. Dot store?
I guess it's a place where you buy alcohol.
Got some tequila. So
yeah, so
that's a phrase for a liquor store. Lonzo says sell the farm and get Justin Fields. Rob says grab a veteran quarterback because it's too much of a crapshoot whether Fields or Young are going to really stand out for me. I might end up being wrong. I might be eating some medium rare crow at some point in the future as one of these guys breaks out. But I also remember a lot of the same people telling me that Carolina was going to forever regret passing up the opportunity to draft Justin Fields. And while Justin Fields certainly took a step forward in year number 2 for Chicago, the Bears were still 3-14 this year.
He would have won more games in Carolina if he had been in Carolina. For sure.
I mean, you can say maybe.
There's no maybe to it.
But there's nothing about Justin Fields that makes me look at this cat and go, he is an amazing player trapped on a bad team. I think he's a good quarterback on a bad team. But he doesn't jump off the page as, look at the amazing things that Justin Fields is doing in Chicago. And he's just definitively being held back by a bad team.
I think he's more judged on his potential because people can see what he probably could do. But I think his potential would have been a little more realized if he would have been on the Panthers team. And
under Matt Rule.
Yeah. Better than what he was in Chicago. Because even under Matt Rule, you're gonna do better on a better team.
I'm gonna go with no, and for a reason we talked about, that reason being Baker Mayfield was on Matt Rule's team. He was not very good. He got to LA and looked much better. So I do not agree with the thought that, oh yeah, the Panthers definitely regret passing on Justin Fields. But we're not talking about Justin Fields.
I'm not going to do that, the definition of insanity thing. I think that's used way too many times. But if you keep going with veteran quarterbacks and it doesn't work, it's time to do a 180 and do something totally different and do what you did back in the day when you brought in Cam Newton. You go after that big name quarterback in the draft and see what he can do for you. That young guy that can grow with this young team that you can build around. You know you're going to have him for 4 or 5 years because of how rookie contracts are structured. You go and get that guy.
I do not entirely disagree. But I think the aspect of that conversation when people say rookie quarterback, get the franchise, rookie quarterback, that does not get discussed is the cost of doing so, right? Like I know we talked about this yesterday when I did my NFL quarterback options as cars analogy that I took way too far. Got a lot of mileage out of it. People don't think about the cost-benefit analysis of these things.
If you are not drafting a quarterback, you're not moving up, you're still picking at 9, who are you picking?
I'm not saying I'm not picking a quarterback at 9.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna pick a quarterback at 9, you might as well see what you got with Matt Corral. So what's a non-quarterback player that you would pick? With all those picks, they got all those picks. Where would you go? You saying you won't trade them all? Well, what would you use them for?
You're forcing me into a corner that's not real. You're backing me into a corner that's not real. I want no obligation for me to stay at 9 and be obligated not to pick a quarterback. I can pick a quarterback at 9.
All right, Rob, you pick a quarterback at 9. You got what? 5 more picks. What are you going with?
I got plenty of opportunities. I can go for another interior to line up alongside Derek Brown. I would probably be looking likely for another tackle to put on the opposite side of Icky. If Bradley Bozeman doesn't get re-signed, I would love a center. I'm going offensive line heavy here.
All right, so you're not blowing me away with what you're saying. So that's another reason why I'm still stuck on and will stick to trading as many picks as it takes to move up and get CJ Stroud.
Here's the thing. Nobody was blown away by the draft pick of Icky last year either.
Oh, yeah, we were. We were excited about that. Come on.
So you would be,
and justifiably so.
All right. So
because how well did he play? Way above what people thought he would.
Sure. But that's exactly my point, right? You're backing me into a corner here. Like, oh, well, if you're not taking CJ, you're not getting a quarterback. Yes, I am. I can still get a quarterback.
I think it's just a progression of trying to pick, okay, there's no quarterbacks available now. What's the next need for the Panthers? That's all I'm asking. I'm not trying to back you into a corner.
Yes, you are, because there are quarterbacks available at 9. There will be multiple quarterbacts available.
And you have Matt Corral. And are any of those quarterbacks available at 9 better than Corral?
I have no idea.
Right. That's the point. But you know what you do know?
You know
Corral, because even though he's hurt, he's on the team.
If you're asking me for a guy that has a first-round grade versus a third-round grade, I can't for sure say the first rounder is going to be better. But if I ask you to take a gamble on who's going to be better, Will Levis or Matt Corral, Anthony Richardson or Matt Corral, and we put the numbers up alongside, and we pointed out that one was in the first and one was in the third, almost by default. If I told you had to bet a paycheck on one or the other, I'm assuming you're going to go with the first rounder. So the concept of, well, if you're not going to get CJ, it just default means you're not getting a quarterback is just flat out wrong.
Any quarterback that's available at 9 that's not CJ or Bryce is a reach. When you've already got a rookie quarterback from last year.
Will Levis is a guy. I absolutely agree that Anthony Richardson is a reach. I don't know if Will Levis is a reach at 9. I think that the injury concerns are there for sure. I think the concerns about poise are there, but he's got every physical gift you need to play NFL quarterback. Now it's just a matter of can you sharpen it? Can you polish it? So, all of that being said, the main concept of this and what I'm driving at here is that if you want CJ Stroud, it requires, or Bryce Young, it requires a trade up to number 1. It requires a trade up to number 1 with the Chicago Bears. So what does that trade look like for the Carolina Panthers? And the first thing you have to start off with is this. 2 of the teams that are interested in this number 1 pick that we are aware of. One of them is the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts are currently drafting at number 4 on the board. They are looking for their franchise quarterback. They have not found it since the retirement of Andrew Luck. They went a couple of different directions. They went vet, and it didn't work out. So they got to go franchise quarterback. The problem you have with Carolina being involved with this, with Indy, is that Indy being a total of 5 selections higher in the draft order means that the purchase of that number 1 pick is by default cheaper for Indianapolis than it is Carolina. They will not have to give up as much because Chicago dropping back to 4, leaving them at number 4, still gives them the benefit of most of the non-quarterbacks, probably all of them with the exception of Will Anderson, who I believe will go 3rd, are still on the board, and they're going to get a haul from Indianapolis. That, by definition, drives up the pick or the cost of the pick for Carolina. The other team that seems to be interested right now is the Houston Texans. The Texans sit at number 2 on the board, and they want to jump up to number 1, or at least considering it, according to reports. Why would they do that? The answer is because they've got a clear-cut favorite between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. They don't want to get stuck with whichever one is left at number 2. They got a guy they want at number 1. Well, if the Bears are willing to trade with Houston, they only got to drop back 1 spot. That means that the Texans' offer to the Chicago Bears, who, as far as we can tell, are not looking for a quarterback, really doesn't have to be all that impressive, right? You can end up with a 3rd and a 4th rounder, or a 3rd and a 4th and a 5th rounder, or something like that, to drop back 1 spot. And now Chicago effectively holds the draft rights to whichever of the 2 quarterbacks is remaining, meaning they can take that number 2 overall pick and trade back further and go the Belichickian method of we're going to have 1,000 draft picks by the time 2025 rolls around. So that sticks Carolina with having to outshine both Houston and Indy. And this is not even considering what teams after number 9 might be involved. So I sat yesterday, I really kind of started to use a couple of different pick value systems to figure out around what a trade would cost for the Panthers to go from 9 to 1. And I came up with this, kind of looking at similar trades in the past and valuing picks with certain point percentages, etc. If you want the whole system, I can give it to you in a later date, but I don't really have the time to get into every factor that I put into this. But I worked out that Carolina would likely have to come off in the ballpark of this. The number 9 overall in a switch, obviously. I think this year you would end up having to throw into that a 2nd rounder and a 4th rounder, or a 2nd rounder and a 5th and 6th, a 2024 first rounder and a 2024 either third or fourth rounder, right? So my question would be, knowing that you've got a leg up on the NFC South this year, but also knowing that, because you got to play the long game if you're a GM, looking ahead to the 2024 season, Atlanta is another team that believes they are a quarterback away from turning the corner. New Orleans is going to have a lot of money roll off the books at the end of next season and can rebuild at that point. And who the hell knows what the Buccaneers are going to do, but I can't imagine that franchise is going to stay down for long. The NFC South should be completely retooled in 2024, all 4 teams. Are you willing to go into the 2024 draft without a first-round pick? That pick goes to Chicago for C.J. Stroud. Now, if I could see into the future and see that C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young are going to end up in the Patrick Mahomes level of quarterback, then hell yeah, obviously I'm willing to do that. But I can't. It's a gamble, right? It's a gamble. I would rather have my first-round pick for next year because here's the thing. I do think Carolina goes into the playoffs as the NFC South champion in 2023. I'll go ahead and make that prognostication at this point. I think they go into the playoffs this year as the NFC Southern Division champions. And I think that they are probably the clubhouse favorite into 2024, though it is very early. But that does not necessarily make them an NFC favorite this year. They will likely, after this year, if they find a quarterback, be having to go, okay, we got 1 or 2 more pieces in 2024 before we can really circle ourselves as a complete team. I want that first-round pick to fill that need. I want that first-round pick to get the best or as close to the best available to fill that hole in 2024 as I can get to C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, whichever one you like more. Because most draft analysts, I am not agreeing with them, but most draft analysts have moved Bryce Young ahead of C.J. Stroud on the draft order. Is C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young the gamble that you will have to take on one of them working out? Is that worth 2 first-round picks? Take out of the equation the third-rounder this year, the fourth-rounder next year, the third-rounder next year. Take all the additional picks. Probably, I've got it narrowed down to probably about 5 of them. All right? So you're giving up for C.J. Stroud 2 first-round picks and 5 mid-round picks. Is that the gamble you want to go in on? Right? You're sitting right now with like an ace and a 7 on the table playing blackjack. You're sitting with an ace and a 7. You're at 18. You're very close, right? You're very close. Do you want to push?
Could you also be at 8?
Can you also be at 8?
I thought aces were either.
It's a 1 or an 11.
Well, right.
Yeah. I mean, you could be at 8.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm sorry I threw you off there, but I was like.
I probably should have gone with like face card
Yeah,
7.
you probably. My bad. I'm just doing this all day.
That's fine. Keep me on my toes.
You're just shocked that I know something about blackjack.
I'm impressed.
That's
I am
what it is,
impressed.
yeah.
I'm impressed. You were sitting on the table with an 18. You're close. And you got a big old pile of chips sitting next to you that you have amassed leading up to this round. You're really confident you know what's coming up. Are you going all in for one card that will either get you where you need to go, or it's going to bust you? Because it's not just about, oh, well, hey, if you bring in CJ or Bryce, Bryce is undersized, got great arm strength, but undersized, injury concerns. He missed some games for Bama. If you bring in CJ Stroud and you find out that he really benefited from being surrounded by the best wide receiver core in college football and playing in a conference that was effectively led by 2 teams and then everybody else, and he doesn't work out, not only are you now sitting there committed to a busted up quarterback, but you also have greatly diminished your ability to replace him because you will not have a first-round pick to try again next year.
The scenario
Is that worth the gamble?
This scenario doesn't work because if you got 18, you're sitting on 18. So it doesn't work. That means you're not doing anything. That means you're not making any picks. You're not doing anything. So I don't think it works. I also believe that you trade up, you get CJ Stroud, he's going to do better than any quarterback you have or have had in the last couple of years. And it's not going to take that much as he's learning on the job to win the South. And that is your first priority, is to win the South. You might lose in the first round, but you win the South, you win the South.
I will agree with you. That's for the conversation's sake. Let me agree with you that CJ Stroud will do better than any quarterback you currently have on the roster. For the sake of the conversation, let's agree with that right now. Does that mean that CJ Stroud is going to do better than any other available quarterback? Will CJ Stroud be better than Aaron Rodgers? Will he be better than Lamar Jackson? Will you guarantee me right now, would you be willing to take a boo box bet right now that CJ Stroud will have a better year than Jimmy Garoppolo or Derek Carr next year?
No, but the other thing is you've already tried this and it didn't work. Why not try something else? I just don't I don't get your reluctance.
Here's why. Because when you say you've already done this before, what you mean is, I'm assuming, tell me if I'm wrong, you have already tried the route of bringing in veteran quarterbacks to plug in and fix the system. And I agree, that's fine. Except for you're making the mistake of thinking that because 3 veteran quarterbacks didn't work, that number 4 won't work either. Right? Like, just because a thing has not worked doesn't mean the thing won't work, because it's a different situation.
So what you're saying is if you get a hammer, you can fit that square peg into a round hole.
No, I'm saying you have a lot of different pegs and you think you use 3 square pegs. I'm saying there's a circle peg right over there. And you're like, no, we've already tried the square peg. Right, but that's a circle peg. I understand, but we've used all the square pegs and they don't work. But that's not a square peg, that's a circle peg. Right, but you've done 3 square pegs. Right, but that's not a square peg. I'm saying every quarterback is a different shape. Every quarterback is a different size and shape peg. Yes, you have tried to hammer 3 pegs in. None of them have worked. By the way, peg is one of those words that, like, the more you say the word, the more weird it sounds. Peg.
This makes me think of Steely Dan, but that's because I'm older.
Too old to like Rihanna.
Here we go. I was misrepresented on the title of that video that you put up. Never said I didn't like Rihanna. I never said. I just said there was a lot of fornicating and thrusting going up in the sky.
No, you said gyrating.
Yeah,
and
well,
fornicating.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of things going on, and touching of oneself in places.
When I think about you. Okay, the Divinals, by the way. What I'm saying is every vet quarterback is a different shaped peg, and just because the couple you've tried haven't worked doesn't mean that the shiny new tool out there on the as seen in TV store is going to guarantee be your answer, right? I'd rather have a quantifiable known commodity. I still get to gamble because with number 9, I will absolutely take Anthony Richardson. I absolutely would. So I get a quantifiable known commodity and either Jackson, Rodgers, Carr, or Garoppolo. I get an unknown, unquantifiable commodity in Anthony Richardson that may or may not be the dude down the line. And I get my first round pick from next year and a stack of picks between here and there that can be used for other reasons. It works out great. Texas said, yo, Rob, you have to say peg like Al Bundy. Peg. Texas said, Rob, what's the definition for insanity? Lonzo's asked me that like 3 times today. I have no idea why. Texas said the Panthers are going to get Derek Carr. They seem to be the front runner, by the way. Vegas thinks they are. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. Hey, do we have to change that if he loses the belt?
No. Because historically, he was a chick.
That's true.
It was accurate at the time.
That's true. I acknowledge my blackjack metaphor sucked, but I don't play blackjack. I don't like blackjack. I'm a poker guy, although I'm also bad at that. But if I'm in a casino, I'll play some roulette, which I understand has like the lowest odds on the book, but it's fun. I don't really gamble. If I go to a casino, I go to a casino with a sports book, man. I'll bet on any sport. I'll bet on sports I don't know. I'm just not a blackjack guy. Don't like it. Don't know why. Can't really lay it out.
Don't wait. Call QC Kinetics today. 864-448-3772.
Tired of getting dinged by monthly fees on your checking account? You need Simple Checking from Home Trust Bank. With Simple Checking, you get all the essential checking services for free,
Should've got my jacket home
including
Sunday.
100% online access and a free Visa debit card. It's everything you need from a checking account, but no hoops, no surprises, no monthly fees. Stop by today or call 800-627-1632. Simple Checking at Home Trust. Ready for what's next. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We hear a lot about how different generations don't understand each other. What if we're wrong? Odyssey's podcast, It's Generational, is here to bring together baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z for conversations you won't find anywhere else.
I'm a little upset that I spend money on my hair.
I went and dyed my whole head purple.
I didn't get my license until 21.
And I wonder, as a Gen Xer, somebody who grew up biding your time as a teenager until you turned 16 and were able to get a driver's license.
Kevin, I did a cruise a number of years ago, and I can't remember. I think it was Royal Caribbean, but they had a sports book in the casino on the boat, and I was betting on like cricket at 4 a.m. No idea how cricket works.
I was gonna say, do you understand?
Nope.
cricket?
Nope. I found a group of 2 Indian guys and an English guy who were betting on it, and I just was like, "Tell me what to bet on, boys. I'm all in."
So you trusted people to tell you what to do?
Yeah, I had a blast.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I basically was betting on whatever they were betting on. So whatever they were.
So if they're willing to spend
Yeah.
money, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, if you're so committed to trolling somebody that you are willing to lose your own money to do it, that's commitment, and I respect it.
All Lowe's, all the time.
Well, let me guess. I know
Good job, Kevin.
You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails.
Nice.
with Online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help.
I don't know. Does that pay for the cruise? Probably.
Like your name and address.
Oh yeah, $3,000 will buy you a full 7-day cruise, unless you want the 1%er cruise.
You need a platinum card for that.
From the Ingles Market Studio,
State, 97 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
From the city of CBS Sports Radio. Always streaming wherever you are on the
So I've given you a rough idea of what I think the Panthers have to come off of if they want the number 1 overall pick. For those of you that have been pushing for Young or Stroud, are you still in? Knowing that it is going to cost you next year's first-round pick, and I am predicting 4 other picks, a second-rounder included. Are you willing to come off that many picks? Are you that dedicated to the guy? The whole point that I was making there was I understand the argument from Rashad, from Lonzo, that you've tried veteran quarterbacks and it hasn't worked. I get that. I understand that. But the point is you haven't tried these veteran quarterbacks, right? When I was growing up, when I was an adult, I tried to find a beer that I liked. And I started with your old school traditional light beer, and I hated it. And then I tried a stout, and I hated it. Then I tried a porter, and I hated that. And you know what I didn't do? Although maybe I should have. You know what I didn't do? I didn't go, all right, well, I've tried 3 beers. Now beer isn't for me. No, I just kept trying until I found one that I liked, right? Now, could I go with something different? Could I go, okay, I don't like beer. Let me try tequila. Sure. But eventually I found one. I settled in. Now I've got a thing that has carried me for a very long time. Now, again, with a veteran quarterback, especially considering the age of the ones on the table. Everybody except Lamar is over 31. And A-Rod's going to be 39 when next season tips off. I understand at this point that most of these guys aren't a long-term solution. But Carolina's in a unique situation that I don't think any of the other quarterback-thirsty teams are, in that the division is wide open for them next year and maybe the next 2, right? No, I do not think, for instance, that the Houston Texans need to be looking right now at, we got to find the guy that can step in and be a Pro Bowler immediately. They don't need to, right? They are a couple of years away from being ready to truly compete in their division. The Chicago Bears are in the same boat. They're not looking quarterback, but you get it. They're the ones that hold the number 1 overall pick. The Indianapolis Colts are right now today not ready to compete for the division. That's still going to be the goal. It's every NFL's team goal to win the division, but they're not ready to compete for the division today. Carolina is. That's the reason that a vet quarterback works here. Lonzo, if Drew Brees was still in New Orleans, if Tom Brady was still in Tampa Bay and they were coming off of a, 14-3, 13-4 season this year, I would 100% be on board with getting your rookie. 100% be on board, right? Because we're close, but we're not quite ready division. We are the only team looking for a quarterback that if they find it is almost guaranteed to win the division next year. So give me a guy that can win a division. We know Jimmy Garoppolo can win a division because he's done it. We know Derek Carr can win a division. We know Lamar Jackson can win a division. Do you know CJ or Bryce can win a division? No, you don't.
We don't know that Derek Carr can win a division.
I mean, he could if he wasn't stuck in a division with Patrick Mahomes. But you get the point. And Justin Herbert. All right, we'll get away from that. When we come back in the next hour, we have got a great weekend in sports. Let's go ahead and run around the preview of everything that's going on. We've got the Genesis. We've got Daytona. We've got a really good slate of NBA playoff teams lined up. We'll get into all that and more next up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick. The type of guys who will always prefer to be than in front of the camera. And the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Et vivement. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
This feature is sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech. Planning for an upcoming trip? It's important to know that updated COVID-19 boosters are currently available at no cost to you. Remember that immunity can take time to build. Check eligibility and schedule at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Hey guys, this is Keita Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes, you. None of y'all told me that AutoTrader has millions of new and used cars that I can shop from home. I thought we were friends. I put smiles on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with AutoTrader, a dealer can deliver cars to my home or that I can shop by price on AutoTrader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned we had officially over. Finally, it's easy. AutoTrader.
Every piece of land has a story. The Upshaw's right there is with the John Deere 1 Series tractor is authentic. And this is Shaw.
Shaw stands for skilled hands at work.
But he's not cutting grass. He's cutting hair.
So every person is different from hair type to head shape. And I feel like it's the same way in a yard.
Front loader to backhoe. The Upshaws have the tools to DIY all day long. Run with us on a 1 Series tractor. Start telling your story. Learn more at johndeere.com/radio.
The Rob Brown Show, now 19.
It's not so much about whether or not Brian Harsin was sleeping around with an intern. What interests me is that it wouldn't be likely a violation of the morals clause, which would let Auburn fire the guy after 20 players and 5 coaches left his program and not have to pay him about $17 million worth of severance. They're going to get set back if they got to move on to a new coach after a year. Anyway, keeping $17 million in the bank will help with that process.
So what's the real reason why everyone's leaving? It's probably not because of that.
Texter says...
Chris is in there working on your computer and watching episode 1 of The Legend of Vox Machina.
He'll be hooked.
Yep.
We both know.
He's like, I'm 20 minutes in, and
What's he watching it on?
his phone.
He should have just. Well, should have told him. He just should have just jumped on the Xbox One. He could have watched it on that. We both know that that's his kind of humor, and that he's going to.
He's going to love Scanlon like I do. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It is so good to have you here on the radio broadcast. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. You can text us on the text line at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN. We will read them on the air. Got a few texts from you guys so far this morning. Predominantly telling me either I'm insane for wanting to go with another vet, telling me Derek Carr is a Panther, just waiting for the contract to get signed, telling me that I say peg like Al Bundy, which, by the way, not an insult. Al Bundy's character would 100% not, like, I get frustrated with people like Mel Brooks couldn't make movies nowadays. It's like he literally is doing that, but okay. Al Bundy would not fly on TV today. Al Bundy remains one of the greatest television characters of all time. He was the Archie Bunker of my time. Were you, Archie Bunker would have been before you too, right?
No, it wouldn't have.
No?
No. Remember, that's where the Jeffersons came from and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, we watched. My mom really liked the show, so we watched it a bunch.
Okay.
Edith was kind of annoying. Meathead is turned into exactly what I thought he would in real life.
Beef.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that show, and I loved Married with Children too, even though it was kind of, out there sometimes.
Kind of raunchy? Kind of raunchy?
No, I'm just, it was raunchy, but it was also weird. And in case you're wondering, if you're watching on stream, when someone accused Rob of being Al Bundy, his hand did go where you think it did.
The National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood. No, ma'am.
How could you not love watching a guy talking about his glory days in high school? Because we've all done that. So,
3 touchdowns in the state championship game.
Daggone right.
Speaking of, King of the Hill's getting a reboot. Big fan. You know what? Save this conversation, Lonzo, because I decided earlier, and it's written down here on the prep sheet for 11:20. I think we return Fanboy Friday today.
Yay.
The overwhelming enthusiasm from the great one that gets
Hey,
me.
I'm about to die over here. Of course I'm excited about it. You can't tell in my voice.
If you guys hear a loud thump and we immediately go to break, you now know why.
Oh, no, you'll see it because we're live on stream. So, but yeah, for the radio listeners, you'll hear the thump. How could you not watch Married with Children and not like Peg or
Peg Bundy was great.
Yeah. The wig was amazing.
Peg Bundy was great.
And then there's
frankly,
Kelly.
All of us should want a wife like Peg Bundy.
And Bud was a weirdo.
Bud was a weirdo.
And then they had the dude from Revenge of the Nerds on there. McGinley. I don't remember his character name.
All right. Let me get to this real quick.
Roger, thank you for the VIX thing. I did that last night. I'm going to go home and do that again. That's the only way to sleep when you have this problem.
I would suggest a hot toddy for Lonzo.
Ain't happening.
I know. It'd fix you immediately.
Maybe a nice cinnamon tea.
Yeah, hot toddy. So let me talk about this for just a minute. I was going to get to what's going on this weekend. One of the things that's going on is the Genesis Invitational. One of the first events on the tour this year. And Eldrick Tiger Woods is playing in this tournament. Not only playing in this tournament, but playing relatively well so far. Ended up with a 379 yesterday, had a three-hole birdie streak working at one point. But more importantly, there was a picture that started floating around on social yesterday. The picture was Tiger Woods teeing off on, 5 or 6. Like, it wasn't a highlight hole, right? It wasn't 1, his first tee shot of the day. It wasn't 18, his last tee shot of the day. It was somewhere in the middle of the round. But there was a picture of Tiger Woods hitting a drive off the tee. And it was really impressive because Tiger Woods was just surrounded by a mob of fans. A mob of fans. Next to that was a picture of Phil Mickelson from the last Live Tour event. Now, I think anybody who tells you the Live Tour is failing is being disingenuous. Some of us want it to fail, but I think anyone who thinks the Live Tour is failing is frankly being disingenuous. It's not failing, and frankly, it'll never fail because the people running it don't really care about profit.
Yeah, they're probably not going to run out of money, more
Right.
than likely. Yeah.
They don't care about profit. The goal of the Live Tour is not profit. The goal of the Live Tour is sports washing, right? We want you to forget how awful we are because we're giving you fun golf things to watch. But the political aspect of it is for a different date and time. The point right now is the competition between the Live Tour and the PGA Tour from a sports perspective. So you got the picture of Tiger at a hole somewhere in the middle of the round, absolutely swarmed by fans, standing 20, 25 deep just to watch Tiger Woods hit one shot. One shot. Then there's the picture to the right of that, in stark contrast, of Phil Mickelson hitting a shot at the last Live Tour on 18. And he's going back up the hill. He's going back towards the main grandstand, right? This is the hospitality suite. And for those of you that have never attended a golf tournament, there is no better hospitality suite in all of sports than one at a golf tournament. Why? Because they know you're going to be in there for 6 hours. The food is the best. The drink is the best. The seats are the most comfortable. The hospitality suite at a major golf tournament is the nicest hospitality suite in all of sports. And there is maybe 2 to 3 dozen people in the entire shot. The shot is behind Phil, looking back up towards the grandstands, back up towards the hospitality suite, and there's maybe a couple dozen people in the picture.
Isn't that an unfair comparison though? Because you're throwing up a picture of arguably the most popular golfer of all time, who doesn't play that much because of injury, out there again, and then you throw up a picture of a guy who's out there all the time. I think it's trying to dog, the Live Tour, but really what it's doing is showing how popular Tiger still is.
Which is exactly where I'm taking this segment. The question that I have for you guys is, do you think that there is a way for golf or any other sport to recreate what Tiger Woods is to golf? Because here's the thing. I loved Tiger's first round performance in the Genesis. I went back and watched the highlights. I wasn't watching live, but I went back and watched the highlights of it last night. And as a golf fan who has other golfers that I like young golfers, like active golfers, like winning golfers on the tour, I will eschew watching them in order to watch Tiger play around when Tiger is playing well.
Good word.
Thanks. Can Tiger's success be recreated? Not just by the PGA, not just by the Live Tour, who would love to find a Tiger of their own, but I'm talking about across all of sports. In tennis, which direly needs one. In hockey, which is struggling to get more eyeballs.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You're not mentioning football and you're not mentioning basketball because they have done it. They've went from one major star to the next. Football does it all the time. Basketball definitely does it.
I agree. This conversation is limited to the niche sports.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because I didn't hear that part.
I will firmly acknowledge that this conversation, let me rephrase that. This conversation is limited primarily to the individual sports.
But if you want to, if you want to make it happen in your sport, you look to the sports where it actually has happened. And the thing is, there's no one like a Tiger Woods coming out for golf. They tried to make some guys like Rory and some guys like that into the next Tiger Woods, but they're not.
And that's why I'm asking the question. Can it be, and I'm going to use the word artificially, recreated, right? The growth in immense popularity of Tiger Woods happened organically, right? And again, Tiger had a lot of variables that you have to throw in there and you have to consider. I think you have to consider the fact that Tiger Woods is a minority in a sport that has very few overwhelmingly.
I mean, even though he backed it up, that was the major thing at first.
Yeah.
Was the fact that he was a minority in a sport that was considered just a white sport.
Yeah. It's a sport that has now with the global growth of golf, part of which I think is credited to Tiger Woods, you have started to see more Colin Morikawa's, Anthony Kim's, Vijay Singh's. You've started to see more minority golfers that have become prominent. Obviously, none of them have touched Elger. We have seen athletes who have been very, very good. But Tiger's just sheer dominance over the sport.
Yeah, but when was the last time he actually was dominant over the sport? That's the sad part about this is you can't manufacture this. You cannot hype someone into being that guy. You actually have to find someone who's that good.
Who is that guy? That's exactly right. And the takeaway I had when I thought about this yesterday, right? Because I'm looking at this picture of Tiger, who is not just not in his prime, but he's so far past his prime that Tiger Woods winning another tournament, we're going to be talking about it for a month after it happens. When Tiger won the Masters a couple of years ago, it was all we wanted to talk about for a week. We still talk about it, right? Because it was so damn impressive because of how far out of his prime. And obviously we talk about the car accident and all the surgeries. We're talking about the off the golf course drama that he had to deal with, etc. And yet he's still out there. And even though we all know that while not everybody, I recognize there are a lot of y'all that genuinely dislike Tiger Woods as a golfer and as a dude, right? And I can pretty much, though I risk generalizing here, I can pretty much nail down why most of you don't like Tiger. You're in one of a few groups. Either A, you don't want to say that he threatened Jack as the greatest of all time. B, you dislike the fact that he betrayed his marital bonds and was running around with Perkins waitresses.
I miss Perkins.
I've never had a Perkins before.
They had some cakes that were really good. You would
do
have
like
enjoyed
cake.
it. Yeah, it was, I think, hot fudge cake. It's been a while. I think they used to have, I know they had some in Ohio. Is it possible that the next Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods' son?
Charlie? By the way, the closest Perkins to us is in Dandridge, Tennessee. It's too bad. I've never had a Perkins.
Well, you never know. You might be going up there soon.
Here's hoping. Fingers crossed.
Maybe check it out while you're up there.
If anybody wants to be the title sponsor and send Rob Brown to cover SEC Media Days in person, we're looking for one. Just throwing it out there. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. He's going to have everything he needs to be that guy. The only thing we got to see out of Charlie is, can he play golf like his daddy, right? If he can play golf like his daddy, hell yeah, he's the next Tiger Woods. Literally and metaphorically.
A lot of pressure on him, too.
Absolutely.
I mean, as most kids who come from families like this, but I mean, maybe that's the next guy. And how
there's plenty of videos out there, not just of him playing with his dad, but playing some really good golf with his dad. He's got all the mannerisms down. He looks like him, walks like him, talks like him, shoots like him. It's impressive, right? So Tiger Woods, some of y'all dislike Tiger Woods, and I get that. You either dislike him because he's a threat to Jack's hold as the GOAT. You dislike him because you don't like the way he lived his life away from the course, which is understandable. No problem with it. I don't care. I forgave him. I've moved on. And yes, there are a very small percentage of you guys who don't like him because he's a minority. Nobody like that listens to this show, though, right? So regardless of how you feel about Tiger, his popularity as the most loved golfer of maybe all time, but certainly of the recent era, is unquestionable. It's unquestionable. There's no golfer that draws a bigger crowd than Tiger. And the question I have is, can this be recreated? By golf, can it be recreated in tennis? Can it be recreated in swimming? Can it be recreated by any of the niche sports? And after kicking this around quite a bit yesterday, I landed on the answer, Lonzo. No, it can't. It can't be recreated. You
Th-
cannot
that's sad.
artificially
Sad.
recreate it, right?
So does that mean the sport is over? Or,
Not at all.
Or it's reached the height of its popularity as far as on TV and things like that?
It has
goes?
reached the height of its popularity until we find a new tiger, until a new tiger emerges. Now, I am going to once again, much to the chagrin of many of you, I am going to once again draw a direct parallel between life and the greatest art form on planet Earth, professional wrestling. Okay? Professional wrestling is always on the lookout for the new baby face or the new heel that can be the most popular guy in the world, right? They are always on the search for who's going to be the next Hogan, who's going to be the next Flair. I've been watching wrestling since I was a child. And in the last 20 years, Lonzo, I think I can pretty much nail down the two guys that I feel like have gotten the most organically over. Now, and I'm talking WWE to kind of limit it here, but professional wrestling is constantly pushing people to the forefront to see who sticks, right? In wrestling terms, we call it a push. You get pushed to the front of the stage to see if you can command the audience. And you push a guy, and some guys get out there, and you find out that they're entertaining, but they're not main event entertaining. You get guys like The Miz, who have been around for 25 years, and he's always going to be the guy that's kind of in the middle of the stage. He's not the main role, but he's always out there as a foil for the main guy. Like, we're going to test you with this guy because he's entertaining enough.
I was just going to say, Miz and Mrs. actually is pretty funny.
Haven't ever watched an episode. But Miz on TV, in Miz TV, always gets a laugh, right? He's never going to carry the company, but he's always good enough to be right there. And then they push a million guys out there to be the next face of the company. Most of them fail. But every now and then, you get a guy who just goes organically over. The crowd just latches onto this guy for whatever reason. My favorite run in my lifetime of professional wrestling is Daniel Bryan's run up to WrestleMania 30. The fight with the Authority, right? For a lot of reasons. Daniel Bryan is a wrestler. When you look at the guy, doesn't really look the part of the guy you would think is the face of a company, right? He's small, he's undersized, he's a hippie. Not really the guy you'd think was up front. And then he's going up against Triple H and Stephanie and Vince McMahon, the guys who are the owners of wrestling, like the owners of the business. And he caught on with the crowd to the point that 2 or 3 weeks before WrestleMania, they had to rewrite the story because they knew when 77,000 people were doing yes, yes, yes chants in the building, if Daniel Bryan went out there and lost to Dave Bautista, as was the plan, they were going to have a riot on their hands because he was so damn organically over. And right now, the best story running right now is Roman Reigns in the Bloodline. Roman was a guy that for 5 years, they tried to push over as a good guy. They tried to push him and push him and push him as a good guy. And how many times, in fact, even on this show, how many times did I tell Lonzo, Roman Reigns he's an organic heel. You need to put him out there as the most badass bad guy in the history of the business. And they did that. And what did it lead to? The greatest story wrestling has told since Daniel Bryan's run to WrestleMania 30.
I'll say you got. Vince did what he said he would do.
And you say whatever you want to say. They pushed him as a face. They made him heel. He turned into that guy, right? Golf organically embraced Tiger Woods. He didn't have to do anything except go out there and be him. And he went out there as a young minority golfer, and he kicked the crap out of everybody to the point that whether you loved him or you hated him, you had to tune in to watch him do it. And it created this monster. It created this guy that, again, love him or hate him, you tuned in to watch what he did. And the reality of sports is you can't fake that. You can't fake organic over. When a guy catches fire because he's charismatic, when a guy catches fire because he's charismatic, oh my God, I did it twice in a row. When a guy catches fire because he's charismatic or because he is dominant, and the fans go, I got to be a part of this. I know something special is happening here. I see something special happening here. I feel something special happening here, and they latch onto that. You get what you've got in Tiger Woods. The problem is you can't write that script, right? How many great movies suffered because they put an actor in there who just wasn't that guy? Versus how many franchises were made because they put a guy in there who was. The Marvel Cinematic Universe right now is arguably the most profitable entertainment franchise in existence, right? Now, it's teetering a little bit right now. We'll talk about that in Fanboy Friday coming up at 11:20 when we discuss all things pop culture. What are you watching, listening to, or playing, and how do you feel about it? I'll take you back 16 years ago. 16 years ago, the MCU made its way onto the screen with a movie called Iron Man. It was a wild experiment. We knew that the Batmans and the Supermans were always going to work, but it was really the first endeavor in a long time into the world of lesser-known comic book superheroes. Now, if you were a dork like me and Lonzo, you've known who Tony Stark was for a million years, but my mom didn't know who Tony Stark was, who Iron Man was. My dad certainly didn't know who Iron Man was. But they put out this movie, and I told my parents at the time, I'm like, hey, I really want to see this, and I want you guys to come. I think it'll be fun. And they cast Robert Downey Jr., a guy who had his own problems off the screen, right? With drugs and alcohol and arrest and all that. Had all these problems in the world, but they took a crack. And they made Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark, made him Iron Man. And I remember going to see that movie at the Sun Plaza Cinema 8 in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, with my mom and dad and little brother. And we walked out of that movie. And my dad was like, that was actually kind of entertaining. My dad did not like sci-fi stuff, right? My dad was like, give me Clint Eastwood and a Western, baby. And I remember walking out of that theater and my dad being like, damn, that was kind of entertaining. That guy's pretty good. I honestly think had they casted almost anybody else in that role, Lonzo, but a Robert Downey Jr. who was in the process of trying to revamp his Hollywood image, it wouldn't have worked because the charisma and the character came together to make this perfect thing. And if it wasn't for casting Robert Downey Jr., I don't think we have the Avengers movies. I think that would have been the end of an experiment. We'd have moved on to the next experiment in Hollywood. But it worked because we as fans went, damn, I cannot help but be interested in this. I cannot help but be invested in this. And then they went, yo, Iron Man 2's coming out. Oh, now we got Captain America. All right, well, I didn't really go for the Iron Man thing. I didn't know Iron Man, but I love that. I don't really know a ton about Captain America. Let me give that a run. And that caught on like wildfire. And the next thing you know, you've got the most profitable enterprise since freaking Star Wars. Right? So the point is, some people in the right time, in the right place, with the right role, regardless of background, fans just gravitate to them. And it may be because they hate them, but they gravitate. That's Tiger Woods. And the reality is you cannot artificially construct that. Either it happens or it doesn't. But I do have a solution. I do have a way you can help find more Tiger Woodses. I'm going to tell you what that is when we come back. My name is Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is at the mic. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to The Fan Upstate. I absolutely do, Trey. The Demon in the Bottle storyline for Tony Stark in the comics was incredible. And the problem I think you have there.
Then some kids wouldn't have been able to go because of how serious it was.
It's very dark. And I think they kind of teased that a little bit in, which one was that, Iron Man 2, I think?
Yeah.
They played with that a little bit in Iron Man 2. And they kind of hinted down that storyline. I mean, they did like a very mini version of that storyline in Iron Man 2. But to go full Demon in a Bottle like that story is written would be exceptionally dark and exceptionally adult. Now, I would love for there to be. They'll never do it. Both because it's not going to be as profitable and because it's Disney. I would love for them to do a full-grown, adult, gritty, real-world version of the Avengers, right? Where when Age of Ultron, the opening scene of Age of Ultron, when Cap calls out Tony for saying a dirty word, and then it becomes a riff joke for like 10 minutes about Cap being offended by a dirty word. I want that, but instead of Tony getting called out for a dirty word, everybody just expects it because they're fighting an army. Somebody's going to get hit and say a bad word, right? I would love a storyline of Tony battling his depression and alcoholism. I would love a story about Captain Marvel going to a planet that was decimated from Thanos' snap and seeing the gritty consequences of that, right? One of the things I enjoyed about the beginning of Infinity War Part 1 was delving into the world that was still recovering from the consequences of the snap, pre the blip. The next thing I would have loved to have seen, are you telling me there's no consequences for the return of the people who were blipped, right? Like you're telling me that half of Earth's population just showed back up out of nowhere and there were no consequences for that?
It's addressed.
It's addressed, but
No. It's addressed in Quantumania.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil, but it has happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, I'm interested in seeing how they address it, but I would also love to actually see it, right? Like, I want to see a conversation between one of the superheroes or metahumans, or really just any character in MCU. Give me a story where Maria Hill's husband got snapped by Thanos, and over the 5 years he was gone, she moved on and found a new guy and settled down and got engaged and had a kid with a new guy, and then her husband comes back, right? How the hell do you address that? What happened to the people who were blipped off of all those airplanes that crashed? Do they get returned in the air where they disappeared from? And now you just had 1 million people literally fall out of the sky to their deaths? Address that. Don't show me that, but address that. What about the consequences of people who lost their family and committed suicide, and now their relatives come back from the Thanos snap, and they learn that they left and their wife was not able to live without them and took her own life. And now they have to deal with that reality, right? Like, give me that.
So you want all the things that DC has been slammed for?
No. DC has not been slammed for being realistic. My problem with DC was never that they delved into the human side of things. In fact, the fight between Superman and Zod, where they basically destroyed both a small community and a large one in the same fight, was really interesting to me. It's that then they just completely ignored it, right? Like you showed me Superman and Zod taking down skyscrapers in a big city and effectively nuking this small Midwestern town.
Yeah, but think about it.
Show me the aftermath.
In Batman versus Superman, they addressed all that.
There's a difference between addressing it and showing me the consequences directly.
Well, they did, because Bruce Wayne had to go and save the little girl.
They showed me Bruce Wayne showing a little girl. That's fine. Batman goes after Superman because he's an alien threat. And I respect that and I like that. I want to know what's the response in the world from everybody who's not Batman? What's the response from the normal dude, Clark from accounting, whose wife was killed when Zod got thrown through a building and he hit her and exploded her, right? Like, you tell Clark's a bad name to use in that example. I randomly went with Clark and I don't know why. Not morbid, Kevin. I'm not more. Yeah, I'm a little bit morbid. I like the macabre. It's more along the lines of like, I'm intrigued by the reality of entertainment. To me, is at its best when you can insert yourself into it. You know why Stone Cold Steve Austin was the most over wrestler since Hulk Hogan? Because every one of us has worked for a boss that we wanted to drink a beer and Stone Cold stun through the floor, right? And he's the only one that was able to find a way to do it and get away with it. The Rock was as popular as he was because all of us want to see ourselves as that cool and that charismatic. Daniel Bryan got over because we could all see ourselves and put ourselves in this position of literally the weight of the authority is against me and I've got to fight to get through it. The entertainment is best when you can insert yourself into it. Give me what the regular people in that world were going through after that destruction. If you're not watching the stream, you should be at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or by searching and subscribing to The Rob Brown Show on YouTube and Twitch. And I will also tell you that starting this afternoon, the Fan Upstate's YouTube channel will be active as well. The Fan Upstate YouTube channel will be active this afternoon. On that, we will be making video content that will be going up with some regularity. I will tell you, I'm already looking forward to bringing you guys like kind of behind the scenes stuff, right? Behind the scenes at Greenville Triumph games, behind the scenes at Greenville Swamp Rabbits games, etc. I will be giving you guys some background insight on the Fan Upstate YouTube channel. That will be going live hopefully this afternoon. I'll have an update for you very soon. Let me tag on one more thought on that conversation we were having to open the hour. And then we will get to some more stuff before we end the week of broadcasting. I asked the question in the last segment. Is there any way that predominantly the niche sports, but really every sport, can artificially recreate what Tiger Woods did for the world of golf? And I settled on, after a lot of thought yesterday evening, as I was tucking myself away for a sweet night of rest, that no, you can't do it, right? It takes a lot of variables to get a guy as organically over with the crowd as Tiger Woods remains. And you can't recreate it, right? Not only do they have to have some level of charisma, and by the way, charisma by default does not mean that you walk into a room and everybody's like, oh my God, what a smile. I love that guy. You know, like me. You can have immense amounts of charisma, but show it different way. How many rock and roll band frontmans have been known because they were deep and dark and brooding? Well, they still have charisma because charisma means you can connect with that person.
So, Rob, how do I pick up some of that there charisma stuff?
You have it or you don't, buddy. You either have it or you don't, right? You can't practice charisma. You can practice golf. You can practice tennis or swimming and diving or track and field or NASCAR racing. You can practice all that. You can get better at it. Now, some people have innate ability, right? A guy like Tiger, he just got born with the ability to crush a golf ball that no matter how much weightlifting and practice and Mamba mentality Rob Brown throws at it, I will just never be able to hit a golf ball at 38 like Tiger hits it at 40. Tiger was driving the ball, y'all, 330 yards yesterday. If Rob goes 230 off the tee, most of the guys in my group are like, damn, beef. Nice swing. So what can we do to find more? We know you can't make a Tiger. You cannot create that level of organic belovedness from a crowd. You can't do it. You can't fake it. It either happens or it doesn't. But how can golf, for instance? How can soccer? How can tennis, swimming, and diving? All these sports. Swimming gave us a Michael Phelps. And for 4 years, everybody was as in with swimming as they had ever been in their lives. When Phelps swam his last Olympics and he was going to try to become the most decorated American Olympic athlete of all time, I was in Shalimar, Florida, and it was the first time and only time in my life I had ever gone to a swimming watch party. We all got together just to watch Michael Phelps hit the pool. Tennis. How can tennis find more? How can they find the next Serena, right? The answer is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. The answer is this. You invest in finding those athletes. You invest in the next generation of athletes. We spend so much time talking about investing in sports as they are, right? Soccer. We all want to invest in you. Those of us that are soccer fans all want to invest in the U.S. men's national soccer team. I buy the gear, right? When they're anywhere around me, I buy the ticket. I invest, sure. But how do you find the next Christian Pulisic? The guy who scored a goal against England, Lonzo, pulled up his jersey to reveal that on his training top underneath, he had written the words, "It's called soccer," just to troll the English fans. How do you find that guy? That guy that makes you go, yeah, I gotta see what he does next. The answer is you invest in the next generation, because it's not just about talent and charisma, but it's about opportunity. It's about giving the next generation their opportunity, right? There might be, this was always my frustration when soccer was really kind of trying to turn the corner. When I was in high school, I was a damn good soccer player. I played goalie predominantly, and every now and then would check in as a right winger, not because I was a great right winger, but because I was 6 inches taller than most of the guys that were playing soccer, and I was a great tool. You could swing one in the box. Rob Brown can go up and head it past the goalie, right? I was a really good soccer player. I was good enough in high school. There was a chance I could have gone lower level, but I could have got a scholarship playing lower level college soccer. But you know what I played instead? Football. You know why? Because I wanted to play soccer, but I got told over and over and over and over and over and over that real men play football. That's what real men do. And if you do anything else, you're not a real man. And it drove me away from soccer. And it's one of 3 sports regrets I have in my life. The other 2 are I never went to Yankee Stadium before they demolished it, and I did not go to the Saints Super Bowl when I probably could have, should have, would have. Had there been more opportunity for me to understand what soccer is, was, and could have been, I'm not saying I would have ever been Tim Howard for the U.S. men's national team, but I'm saying there's a guy out there that will be or could be. And if he is not given access and opportunity, how many kids in inner cities around America could be the next Weston McKennie? The next Tiger Woods? How many Tiger Woods are there running around in inner cities in America right now who just, they'll never have access to a golf course, right? They'll never have access. And even if they had access to a golf course, golf ain't a cheap sport. Trust me. I know. I still play it. How many guys could have been every bit as good, if not better than Tiger Woods, but they never got access to a golf club to pick it up and find out, right? That's why I do so much work with First Tee of the Upstate. That's why I love those guys, because they're opening opportunity. That is why every time I get an opportunity to work with the Greenville Triumph when they are doing local things for the soccer community, I jump on board, because how many Weston McKinneys are running around right now that never get exposed to soccer, and even if they were, don't have the opportunity because their parents got 2 jobs, can't bring them to practice, because they don't have access to good coaches, because the training facilities they have are garbage, right? Sports will be better and the culture around it will be better if and only if we don't just invest in the athletes that are already doing it, but we invest in the next generation of them. We open the door to find the next Tiger Woods, the next Michael Phelps, the next Serena Williams. We open the door so that those athletes who absolutely exist are shown opportunities, not just to play the sport, but to succeed in it, to find their role, to grow at it, to get better, to develop it, and become those guys. How much more popular is the game of golf if there are 3 Tiger Woods running around, 5 Tiger Woods, 10 Tiger Woodses? So much better, right? How much better is swimming if instead of once every 12 or 16 years we have a Michael Phelps, if every year the U.S. plops a Michael Phelps in the pool? This doesn't exist in this country right now. But how much better would it be if we had another generation of Andre Agassi's, Pete Sampras's, John McEnroe's? They're out there. There are 330 million people in this country. 70-ish million of them are children, maybe more, right? You're telling me in that entire group, there ain't one more Tiger Woods? One more Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi? One more Serena Williams? One more Alex Morgan? One more Michael Phelps? One more Katie Ledecky? There's not one. Yeah, there is. This is why I ask you guys, if you get the opportunity to help, I'm not saying give your money to, although you should. If you get the opportunity to invest in youth level, lower level, minor league sports, freaking do it. Because you never know if your hometown is going to be the home of the next Tiger Woods. That grows the game of golf as a whole. The next Katie Ledecky. That is the athlete we're most looking forward to in the next Olympics. The next Shaun White. That is so damn good that the Olympics goes, we need to add this sport to the Olympics just so we can get this guy on an international stage. Hell, the next Michael Jordan, the next Kobe Bryant, the next LeBron James. They might be in your backyard, but we will never know if they don't have access, if they don't have resources. Invest in your local sports. Why do you think I am working so damn hard to do that? Why do you think I work with by the way, if you are a local sports charity that I can help, please hit me up at rob.brown/thefanupstate.com. If you are a local youth charity that is sports related, hit me up. That's why I do stuff with the South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association. That's why I do stuff with First Tee of the Upstate. If I can help you, I'm absolutely going to do it. Because I believe in investing in the next generation, because the next generation will eventually become this generation. And I want sports to be as good as it can be nationwide and in our own backyard. Get invested if you can. Donate some time. Donate some money. Donate some blood, sweat, and tears. If you've got a special talent, donate it. Give it. Give back. Let's go find that next Tiger. And let's make the upstate sports community representative of the American sports community. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this hour, and we'll get significantly less serious the rest of the way. Why? Because it's Friday, and Lonzo's got a headache. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate, y'all. You're welcome to break us up.
Yeah, I was going to go do it.
Be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
constant distractions in business. I call it noise. Noise prevents you from growing your business.
There are absolutely beer leagues, Trey. I don't know that your boy got solely paid in beer.
Contact you, it's noise. I say this because Patriot Software is scaling quickly with our 5-star rated payroll, and we don't have salespeople because our payroll product sells itself. Our payroll is for businesses with up to 100 employees. We handle payroll taxes, offer free setup and support, and our prices are proudly displayed on our website. Go to patriotsoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's patriotsoftware.com.
With patriotsoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
The new Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge ride in Super Nintendo World warns riders with waistlines measuring 40 inches or more that they will not be able to fit in the carts. Never thought I'd have to lose weight to go to Universal Studios.
I mean, the thing is, wouldn't you rather? Hopefully, they mark that at the beginning of the line.
Yeah.
So you don't stand
Get
in
to
line
the front and find
and then
out.
get embarrassed because you can't get in there.
What do you think the average, according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, what is the average waist size for men in America?
40.
40.5. Good call. I, ladies and gentlemen, am below average. Actually, it's the first time in my life I've ever been able to proud to say I'm below average in my pants. If you can't make fun of yourself, ladies and gentlemen, who can?
It was very funny, but I'm in pain, so I'm not going to participate.
And I yelled at Lonzo in the bathroom.
It's all right.
Not yelled at Lonzo in the bathroom. I yelled in the bathroom, and Lonzo was in there.
I mean, everything hurts. It's not just my head. So, I mean, and I'm cold and then I'm warm and I hate allergy season.
During the break, I was scrolling Reddit and I came across a post that was talking about out at Hollywood Studios Hollywood. They have just built a Super Nintendo world, right? It's a Mario Brothers themed world, basically. And they put up a Mario Kart themed ride. Now, Mario Kart, since its introduction on I think the Super Nintendo was the first iteration of Mario Kart, has been a franchise that has been repeated over and over, predominantly because it's a great game, right? Anybody can play Mario Kart. There's no advanced learning curve, and you could have a bunch of people playing at the same time. It's a fun game. They have a Mario Kart themed ride, and they have posted Universal Studios that anyone with a waist size of 40 or above will likely be unable to fit on the carts for this ride, right? And then in the same article, the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention listed what they said was the average waist size for American men. I asked Lonzo what he thought it was. He said 40. The correct answer is 40 and a half. The average waist size for men in America is listed at 40 inches, 40 and a half inches. Which led me to say the sentence on the stream. It is the first time in my life I have ever been proud to say, ladies and gentlemen, that I am below average in the pants. If you can't burn yourself, nobody can unburn you.
Did you know that there are weight limits on water slides and also roller coasters and things like that? I got out of having to ride anything that would have scared me to death because I weighed nearly 400 pounds. Nope, look,
Gotta do it.
says right there, 300 limit. I can't get on that slide.
I know they're on water slides because I was on a cruise, on a Carnival cruise ship about, it had to be 15 years ago. And I watched a sturdy gentleman. There was a water slide on the boat. Get on it. And it was a tube, right? It was like a tube water slide, where you go through a part where it's tubed and it's totally dark. And there was like a down, up the hill, back down kind of thing to it, Lonzo. And he got stuck.
He went Augustus Gloop. Awesome.
He got stuck in the little dip in the water slide. They had to break the water slide open to get him out, and nobody else could use it the rest of the trip.
How did he not die? Because the water, but hopefully the water was able to pass over
He
him.
clogged the tunnel. It was like he went down the hill, and he was so big when he got and he started going back up the hill, he didn't have enough momentum to get over the crest of the hill. So then he slid backwards, and he was just in the tube with all the water going by him. They had to turn off the water. They had to bring a guy out with effectively like a big miter saw and cut the section open so that they can get him out. The rest of the trip, no water slide for the kids.
Well, a couple of times at some fairs and things, they shut down roller coasters while I was on it, which is another reason why those really big wrenches.
Yep.
There's this guy running, going, "Shut it down, shut it down." Me and my best friend, we rode one. They shut it down. I was like, what's the chance this happened again? The second one was with the wrenches, and it was just like,
that'd have been the end of my roller coaster career.
Yeah, I'm done. I also had an incident at a water park where I was coming down really fast, and there's a girl just sitting up, and I knew I was going to crash into her, so I stuck my hand out and went around her right as it opened up because I didn't think about it, I just did it, and I got down realizing I was almost died, and I was going to give her a piece of my mind, and then I'm going to guess he's around 400-pound Samoan who was her boyfriend walked up, and I didn't say a word. I just walked away. Dude was big, and this was a long time ago, but I will always remember that. That's the first time I've ever met a Samoan. I was like, no.
It would have been the last too.
I'm saying Umaga size.
Texture said, if that happened to me, I'd immediately throw myself overboard. Yeah, I can't imagine that dude did anything except go back to his room, lock the door, and stay in there till the end of the
cruise. Come on. No, he went back to the buffet. You know what he did.
I'd have gone back to the bar. Texter said, isn't any slide on a boat technically a water slide? Texter says, Rob Brown is the next Jim Rome. Who does he need to bleep off and take a punch from to get to the next level? I don't know, Texter, but the line of people willing to give it is extensive, I am sure. Let's take a break. When we come back in the next hour, got a couple more things in the sports world I want to get into. A couple of NBA games worth watching this weekend. Daytona 500, got to pick a winner in that. Then we got Fanboy Friday, the return. And then Twitter trending topics, and we'll call it a day and a week on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Dinner or supper? Which one?
The Packers agreeing to a reworked deal with Aaron Jones to keep the running back in Green Bay. Jones reportedly will make $11 million for the coming season, including $8.5 million.
When this happened, James, it might have been before Umaga did all that stuff. So this is probably like in 88, 89, something like that. There was a water park next to the Columbus Zoo.
Giannis is a busy man this weekend in Salt Lake City, including being a captain for Sunday night's All-Star game. Paul George scored 26 as the Clippers won in Phoenix last night, 116-107. Third-ranked Purdue losing at Maryland, 68-54. They've dropped 3 of 4. And Tiger Woods is back on the course at Riviera after yesterday's 2 under 69. Keith Mitchell now holds the lead at 8 under. I'm Andrew Boone.
I get it, Keegan. I would be embarrassed for him too, but it depends on how he handled it. If he went full on Chris Farley, I mean, which some guys that size do, I know that I was much more self-deprecating when I was that large. Because if you take away the ammo of people going, yeah, you're fat, then they don't have anything else to say. My cousin, I hadn't seen him in a long time, in like 7 or 8 years. And when I got really big and I went back to Ohio, and he's like, oh my God, you got really fat. And I'm like, yeah, but you got really bald. I can lose the weight. You can't grow that hair back. And then he stopped the rest of the time. He's still bald, by the way.
Can I say that in my experiences, having been both fat and thin in my lifetime, it depends on what the embarrassing thing is, right?
That's what I was just telling them. Self-deprecating humor. You take away the ammo by calling yourself fat when you're fat, and then they don't have anything else to say.
What are you gonna? Oh, you're fat. Yeah, no, I know. So what else are you gonna insult me with?
Because I used to call myself the Fat Fabio all the time, which was hilarious.
Yeah,
and,
love
and
it, man.
yeah, and there's a rap online of me being the Fat Fabio, by the way.
You can. It is. Let's just be real. It is easier to be the cool guy in the room when you're thin. It's easier to be the funny guy in the room when you're fat. But it is harder to be the cool guy in the room than it is to be the funny guy. You can be thin and be the funny guy. You can be thin and be the cool guy.
Kevin,
it is hard to be the fat guy and the cool guy.
It is. Kevin,
my experience.
You're just jealous of my luscious curls. And I get it, man. Not everyone can pull this off. I mean, they didn't make it to an old age, but you throw out Chris Farley and John Candy and guys like that who knew how to use their weight and their physicality to be hilarious.
Searching for fun ways to spend your tax return? Oats for cats. Oh, rotation devices for cats. Don't waste it all on something silly. Spend smarter with Straight Talk. Get our Silver Split plan for $45 a month with unlimited high-speed data and with nationwide 5G. Plus, get a Samsung A13 5G for $99.99, down from $149. If you're looking to get the most out of your refund, your search ends here.
I think it'd be kind of cool to have an afro. I wish I could do that, but that will never happen. Yeah, if I shave my head bald, everyone will be afraid. A lot of scars up there. Did you think I'm joking? I'm not. My sister hit me one time with a broken off piece of metal from a fence post on top of my head, and it just chunked into my head, and I had a white t-shirt and it was completely red. And because I kicked the ball into the woods, she got mad at me. The worst part about it is I got in trouble. It's bleeding all over the place. I got in trouble. So I know there's a big old scar up there. And lots of moles. It probably look like a witch or a warlock.
I got tangled up in the 1 foot of square room I have over here.
Tom Hanks is stuck in a plastic bag.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The third, the fight, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back. Good to have you guys. Hope all is well. I am Rob Brown on the other side of the glass. Half of the great one, Lonzo. The other half is floating in the ether. He'll be back. He'll be fine. Playing like a champion today, son. Slap the sign. Put on the helmet. Take the field. We play hurt.
Hey, I'm here. My boss told me I could leave. I'm like, nah, I'm here.
He did. I heard him say, if you need to go to the bullpen, go for it. Lonzo was like, nope, I got this. I got this. We're good. And we are, ladies and gentlemen.
Also, doing a half a show or doing the full show and maybe an hour afterwards, that's enough to not have to use a sick day. Just saying.
I respect that. We are off on Monday. We will not be here on Monday as we will be observing the Day of the Presidents. So we'll rejoin you on Tuesday.
Which president are you going to celebrate?
Most of them.
Okay. I thought you were going to.
I'm not a big fan of.
I thought you were going to, find a beer named after a president.
It's got to be one, right? Let's see. Beer named after, I don't know, Abe Lincoln. There's got to be one. Abe's Honey Porter from the Johnny Bird Brewing Company is available. I do not know where that is. 121 North Pearl Street, Wayne, Nebraska.
Keegan says Grover Cleveland. Grover's
big
definitely
Grover
one.
Cleveland guy over here. Big Grover Cleveland
My
guy.
favorite is Millard Fillmore, by the way. You're the man if your name's Millard.
You're the man if you get elected president with the name. Although that was old school, like probably not that uncommon at that point, right? Let's see.
Yeah, there wasn't that many people here, so they're like, "Oh, it's your turn."
I will spend Monday drinking a bunch of Sham Adams.
See, that's what I was saying.
Sham
That's what I was setting you up for, and you just
always
went.
a good decision.
You went all the way around
because
that.
it's too easy, right? Like I don't want to take the easy way out.
Read the script, Rob Brown.
Read the room, Rob. Get your life together. All right, let's run through a couple of different stories here because we're going to bring back Fanboy Friday in the next segment before we wrap up the show. Adam Silver is the commissioner of the National Basketball Association, and you will remember, ladies and gentlemen, that last month there was a game involving the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers had an opportunity to, against the Boston Celtics, with a last-second LeBron James drive and layup. With the last-second LeBron James drive and layup. Tie the game and send it to overtime, or draw the foul, knock down a couple of free throws, and go to the foul line and potentially knock down the layup, go to the foul line and win the game. LeBron James very, very, very clearly got fouled. Oh, by the way, just as a brief reminder, courtesy of everyone in the world correcting me at the same time, was not president of the United States.
I have an excuse. I'm very ill.
Yeah.
And I don't drink.
Yeah.
And I would never correct the host.
Yeah. Adam Silver and the NBA acknowledged that LeBron James got fouled and lost the opportunity to win that game. And in a race that, while the new look Lakers after the trade deadline have found a little chemistry, this is a race that a half a game could dictate who gets into the play-in tournament and who gets left out. Who gets into the final non-play-in tournament seed and who gets left out. Who is playing on the road in the play-in tournament and who is not. One game difference could be a massive difference in playoff seeding in the NBA. And so, yes, it was a big deal. Well, Adam Silver was asked earlier this week in an interview with ESPN's Sage Steele on SportsCenter if and how NBA officials are held accountable when they blow a call. Now, I think there's a massive difference, Lonzo, in if we're going letter of the law, there's probably, much like in the NFL, there's holding on every snap. In the NBA, there's probably something that could be justifiably called a foul on every basketball possession.
Or traveling.
Sure.
Quite a bit.
Sure. But there's a difference between, okay, that guy off the ball maybe had a couple of fingers graze the wrist of an off-ball offensive player, and we're not going to call that, versus LeBron got slapped on the way to the rack and didn't get the call. Adam Silver said that, quote, "We don't publicize discipline for officials. We don't think that's appropriate, but their assignments are affected by the quality of their calls. Whether or not they progress into the playoffs and then round by round is impacted by the accuracy of their calls and their demeanor on the floor. So there is a system for overseeing and making those judgments about officials. But more to your earlier point about getting the calls right, that's, again, not a new issue," end quote. I'm going to make this real simple for Adam Silver. I'm going to make it real simple for Roger Goodell. I'm going to make it real simple for who else? I'm thinking all the commissioners. Gary Bettman in the NHL. I'm going to make this real simple for you. We as fans understand, I think most of us understand, that human officials are not and cannot be perfect. No one can do anything repeatedly with 100% accuracy. It is nearly, if not physically, impossible. Missed calls are going to happen, but the egregious ones, like LeBron driving to the rack and getting full-fledged slapped, like, I'm trying to think of another example, Lonzo, like, I don't know, the 2019 NFC Championship game. Just top of my head. Egregious missed calls, game-changing, playoff-changing missed calls in the biggest spots. We have to do better. Now, the first way of making it easier is just have more eyes on it that are capable of stopping play and have replays that show when things do and do not happen. Very simple solution, but let me give you one more easy solution. One more easy solution is this. If you claim to have a disciplinary process in play for officials who egregiously screw the pooch, tell us what it is. Tell us what the punishments are. Tell us when the punishments happen. If an NBA player does something so egregious on the floor that you as the NBA decide that it is necessary to enact a disciplinary process, do you know what happens? That gets reported on. When a player does something on the floor that's so egregious that he catches a 1 game or 3 or 5 or 10 game suspension, when a player does something on the floor that is so egregious that they are hit with a 5 or 10 or 25 or 50 or $100,000 fine, you guys report on it. You tell us what happened, when it happened, how it happened, who saw and heard it happen, and what the punishment is. Why do we not do that with the officiating, right? Why do you not tell us after you acknowledge that that was an egregiously missed violation of the rules against LeBron? Why do you not tell us what the punishment, what the discipline is? Just tell us. Tell us what it is, and half the complaints are going to go away. Hey, because of that missed call, the officials from that game will not be officiating games in the playoffs. That's a massive punishment. That is a massive punishment from an NBA ref.
I thought that was already known, at least in the NFL. Because they grade them, and that's how they get the better jobs.
Right, but I don't believe they specifically say this guy's not going to the playoffs because of X.
Well, the thing is, if they got a bad grade, that would be the reason why, and missing a call would be a bad grade.
I think missing a call is a contributing factor, right? If I flunk a pop quiz, my grade's going to come down, but it doesn't mean I'm getting an F in the class. Just tell us what the process is. Once you tell us what the process is, everything else goes away. All right. Another story to run through is we got to go fast pace here. The XFL kicks off this weekend. We got 4 games, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. You planning on checking in on this? Maybe not watching it all, but you planning on checking in?
It's going to depend on how I'm feeling.
Fair enough.
Because there's a good shot I turn it on and instantly I'm asleep. Not because the product is boring, but because I'm not well.
I want it to do well. I want it to work. I will be advocating to the best of my ability for the XFL and the USFL.
I will say I'm more excited about the XFL than I am the USFL because we got the USFL last year. We know what we're getting there, but we don't know what the Dwayne Johnson owned.
Dwayne?
We don't know what the Dwayne Johnson owned XFL is going to look like.
I agree with you. I hope it works.
Will
but I also
will
have
The
to,
Rock be there to address the crowd
There's a camera and a mic. The Rock is going to be there.
Yeah, but that would be reminiscent of Vince McMahon doing the same thing.
I don't know, because when Vince ran it, Vince had wrestlers coming out to the games, but he had them coming out in kayfabe, right, to make it more wrestling-like. Dwayne is not going to come out as The Rock. He's going to come out as Dwayne Johnson, XFL owner. I want it to do well, but I also have to tell you that we talked about it on Monday or Tuesday, about the 4 games going on this Saturday, which, by the way, are on ABC, right? It's on a cable network. And
yeah, ESPN was pushing it.
Yeah, it's on ESPN Plus, too, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
We talked about those 4 games this Monday. And I was setting up the weekend schedule for the weekend and remembered this morning that this was happening. We talked about it 3 or 4 days ago. Remembered this morning. So I've got the DVR set to record these games so that I can go back and check them out. But I have got a day with the Lady Friends family tomorrow. That takes priority. On Sunday, I've got the Daytona 500. That takes all the priority. I got a Swamp Rabbits game on Sunday. That takes priority, right? I got all those other things that basically have resulted in me going, yeah, I'll check in with the XFL later. I hope it works. But I'm curious as to how many of y'all are planning on carving 0 minutes, half an hour, a full game, 2 full games, 4 full games. How much time, if any, are you carving out for the XFL, or are you going to let it breathe on its own for a little while and judge whether you think it's worth checking back in for later on? One of the things the XFL is doing, we've mentioned this, is that they are going to be kind of playing with the traditional rules of football. For instance, one of the innovations from XFL 2.0 a few years back is the new kickoff rule. The kickoff rule consists of 10 players on the kicking team and 10 on the receiving team, everyone except the kicker and the returner, lining up across from each other with only 5 yards between them. No one except the kicker and the single returner can move until either the returner has touched the ball or the ball has been on the ground for 3 seconds. Once the returner touches the ball or the ball has been cleared by the officials, has been on the ground for 3 seconds, then the 10 players, 5 yards apart from each other, can begin moving. The blockers can either retreat back to the returner and establish blocks, but keep in mind, the tackling team is only 5 yards away, or they can immediately engage and try to hold their blocks for as long as it takes for the returner to get up to wherever they are. I had a conversation this past weekend where I told somebody I would not be shocked if before the 2030 season, the National Football League outright does away with kickoffs, right? They are a dangerous aspect of the game. They are trying to eliminate dangerous aspects of the game. It would not shock me to see the NFL do away with kickoffs. The XFL is a breeding ground. It's a training ground. It is a experimentation ground. It is a laboratory for new rules, to try out new rules and see how they work. And to do it with a generation of players that is trying to break into the league that they would bring with them. I think it's a great idea. I think it's interesting. As Keegan just said on the stream, and I agree with him, if I'm home, I'll watch, but I'm not staying home for it. I think that's the best way to put it. If I'm at the house and I got an extra TV, I'll put the XFL on. But it's not going on over anything else I've got going on in my life. It is NBA All-Star Weekend. I am intrigued by the NBA All-Star Game for a couple of different reasons. We obviously know that the All-Star Game is going to be a different format than we have seen in previous iterations, right? It is going to be a different form. There are no NBA games today or tomorrow. You have got Team Giannis versus Team LeBron coming up on Sunday.
Maybe. Giannis got hurt.
Well, he's got a sprained wrist.
Yeah. So I'm guessing he's not playing.
We will see. He will still be the captain of the team. Team Giannis versus Team LeBron. The interesting thing about this, and I do like this for exactly the reason we're talking about with Giannis, they will draft their teams right before the game. right? Last year they did it on TV, and it was intriguing. I like this format for the game. You know why? Because they're playing a rec gym, a city rec gym pickup game. I like that they will be playing basketball the way that me and the boys play ball when we head down to the gym. Everybody shows up. Nobody has any idea what kind of game we're playing. Nobody has any idea what the teams are going to be. They pick their teams based on who they think the best player standing in front of them at the moment is, and then they'll throw on the jerseys and play a pickup game. I like situations where the best players of any given sport in the world are basically obligated, Lonzo, to play the game the way that you and I play the game. Just to see what they look like when they head down to the gym and play pickup ball the way that we do.
See, Keegan's asking, does everyone laugh at the last pick? And that's what we talked about that before. I just saw something about the commissioner going to do something about the last pick, and I can't find it. So maybe the last couple guys is not televised.
Maybe not. I mean, I can't.
People in the arena going to know.
I don't know, man. Like, you're still an all-star, right? Even if you're a rotated in because of injury all-star, you're still an all-star.
Yeah, but if you're the last all-star,
you are still an all-star.
It's the NBA is more ego-driven than probably any other sport.
That might not be unfair.
Yeah, you're going to take a major hit if you're last.
Might not be unfair. Either way, regardless of how they do the draft, regardless of how they handle whoever gets picked last, I'm interested to see how this game looks because there's no time to build chemistry. There's no group text threads going on about, hey, guys, why don't we try this? Let's run this play. Let's do that to get this guy open. They don't even know who their teammates are yet, and they won't until minutes before we tip the game. I am excited to see the best basketball players on planet Earth and see how they handle a situation where they have to attack a basketball game the same way I do when I lace up my and one kicks down at the Y.
See, I'm just curious to see because there's a lot of movement in the NBA. So is LeBron going to pick guys that he played with before? Is Giannis going to do the same? Because you're talking about familiarity. A lot of guys have gone through and, like in LeBron's case, been in the NBA a long time. He's probably played with a lot of those guys. Will that sway how he picks?
Maybe.
Or do you pick everybody in the West and work them really hard?
That's great. Again, it's all strategy, right? Because you might go into that, and that's interesting for the captains too, because you might go in and go, all right, I'm just going to pick all guys from my conference in my division. As many guys, I'm going to pick all the guys closest to my team so that we all know each other the best we can. And then with pick number 1, Giannis picks Anthony Davis, right? And LeBron's teammates off the board. Now he's got to completely change everything about his draft strategy. Again, it's interesting. Like, I've been the captain at the Y for a pickup game, and you got to figure out your team strategy on the fly. These are the greatest basketball players in the world playing an exhibition game down at the Y. I'm jacked to see it.
I've never done that with basketball, but with backyard football. And I always, if I get to pick first, I'm going to pick my guy, then I don't care who else I have because I know I got one guy in the neighborhood. Me and him work really well. That was my cousin. So I knew if I got him, we were going to beat anybody.
But what happens if team captain wins the coin flip for the first pick and he picks your cousin? Now you got to rebuild what you were thinking and go up against your boy.
No, because then I get to hit my cousin.
Fair enough. Ohio, baby, where the teachers throw a desk at you. Saturday night's the NBA Skills Challenge presented by Kia. I am interested in this, but not as much as I would be if it was like truly an open competition, right? I'd rather this was an open competition. Instead, you got 3 teams of 3. You got Team Antetokounmpo, which is the 3 Antetokounmpo brothers, Alex, Giannis, and Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It is cool. You got Team Jazz, which is Jordan Clarkson, Walker Kessler, and Colin Sexton, all Utah Jazz players. And then you got Team Rooks, Paulo Banchero, Jaden Ivey, and Jabari Smith Jr., 3 rookies in the league, all teamed up. So all 3 teams
who may have played with each other in like AAU and all that stuff.
So all 3 teams have a connection. You got 3 brothers, you got 3 teammates, and then you got 3 rookies, right? So they all have a connection, which makes it interesting, though I would be more interested to see wide open. There are a few events in this. There's the team relay. Teams compete one at a time. All players from each team participate in a time relay, and all three must complete the course. The course involves a 35-foot outlet pass at a moving target from the baseline. You either complete it and move on or take 3 valid attempts. Dribble down court through 3 moving pylons. Short shot in the lane, 3 attempts or a make. Left corner 3-point shot, 3 attempts or a make with an automated defender. Dribble to the opposite goal and make a basket, dunk, layup, jump shot, whatever you want.
Wait. So there's going to be a robot out there?
Looks like it. What if they bring out the Boston Dynamics robots to play defense?
That's why I'm asking.
Skynet.
Yeah. Did you see that video I sent you yesterday?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's freaky.
It's weird. After they go to the opposite end and make a goal, a dunk, a layup, a jump shot, whatever they want, the next player then rebounds the previous player's shot and starts the course themselves. Team 1 sets the time to beat. Team 2 tries to beat it. Countdown clock for Team 2 is set at Team 1's time. Countdown clock for Team 3 is set at whatever the lesser time is. Blah, blah, blah. They move on. Round 2 is team passing. It's a passing obstacle course. I won't run through the whole thing. Round 3 is team shooting. After round 3, the team that earned the most challenge points will be named the winner. If there are 2 tied, then they will compete in a half-court shot tiebreaker, which I kind of love as well. So, I'm interested. It's kind of the same thing, Alonzo. Like, I'm interested in this. The team connection of 3 brothers, 3 teammates, and 3 rookies. They're all trying to prove something and work well. They've all got some level of chemistry with each other. It makes it interesting, right? Like, I love when sports gives us something different, something unique. It's a one-time event. It doesn't have to be a great basketball game. Give me the best athletes in the world doing something fun and different and entertaining, and it works for me.
I'll be on the air when it's on, but I'll probably have it on in the studio because I think it's kind of cool. Still, my favorite of all time is the 3-point shooting contest. That's still my favorite. So I remember back in the day, Larry Bird, and then it moved to different players onto what we have now. And it's just, I think that's, especially in today's NBA, that is a true test of how good you can shoot.
I'm in for the skills contest because it challenges every player to do stuff that are basketball skills, but not their position, right? Like, not their traditional position. So I'm intrigued by it. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we run back the first edition in 2023, Fanboy Friday. What are you watching? What are you playing? What are you listening to right now? And do you or do you not recommend it? Lonzo and I got a couple of things. He did Quantumania last night. We'll get his brief spoiler-free review of that. We both got a couple of video games we're working on right now. We'll run through those. What is your pop culture thing right now? We'll talk about that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Oh, thank goodness I'm nearly done. That liner scared me to death.
The what?
The liner.
Oh.
The impact of the liner. It's like, oh, why does that hurt?
Diddy said Lincoln's Gift is a beer out of Service Brewing Company in Savannah.
He would know. He's kind of the expert right now.
He says it's a Total Wine and he sells it.
Oh. I'm not going to apologize for my performance today, people. I think as of now, I feel well enough to drive. This morning was nearly me calling in because I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I took medication and was able to sleep, but I woke up at 4:30 and I couldn't take a chance of taking anything else. Or I'd have slept right through 9 o'clock.
As long as I'm not dead, Roger. Although I feel kind of like that. I should go do the allergy thing. I just don't want to have a bunch of needles, and this breaks you out, this breaks you out, this breaks you out, because just everything they put on me will probably break me out. That's cool, Darth. I don't know who that is, but you're excited about it, so that's all that matters.
No, send it to me. You're not looking dead sexy today. Is anyone excited for the dunk contest anymore?
No, because it's not. I mean, they get celebrated for missing. I mean, we're going to give you points because you attempted it. No.
I mean, you still get more for a successful dunk.
Well, you do, but still.
I think people miss out because I think they think, if you don't have the best players, you don't have the best dunks. And the answer is not necessarily. Like Zach LaVine a couple of years ago, before he really caught fire, threw down some nasty dunks.
Right, but he made them. That's the thing. I want to see.
Yeah, but I mean, the stuff they're trying to do, like even the best players in the world aren't inevitably going to make a underneath both legs reverse under the bat. That's a tough dunk to make. That's why it's there. You're only going to get a 4 for the technical skill. You're not going to get the 8 or 9 you would have deserved for dunking it. I love the dunk contest.
I remember back in college in the OAC, the Ohio Athletic Conference, my college actually was pretty good at basketball, not so much anything else. They had the college all-star game for Division III there, and my fraternity president jumped over a car and dunked.
Who was it? The
white dude, kind of scary. At least he scared me when he made me do a bunch of push-ups. But
it's Blake Griffin dunked over a car in a dunk contest. I think it won him the dunk contest that year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been done before. It's still not easy, especially when the car is stationary.
Dude, if I climbed over the roof of a car, I would hurt myself.
Yeah. They want to make it more interesting. Let the mascots do it. Those guys are professional dunkers. The worst part about having this stuff is not being able to find anything that makes me feel better. I mean, I don't care if I'm just out of it, but if it makes you feel better, and that's what I'm saying. I should go get the needles stuck in to see what it is, because it's this time of year every year where it's been warm and cold and warm and cold. Hey, let the sun shine it. I don't even remember what this sounds like. I just hope none of it gets through onto the stream.
When the lightsabers clash, you know it is time. And now for the return of Fanboy Friday, a segment where Alonzo and I take a break from sports and look at the world of entertainment around us. We talk about whatever game we're playing, movie we're watching, album we're listening to, television show we're enjoying, and we invite you to do the same. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to know, what game are you playing right now, and do you suggest it? What movie have you recently watched, and do you recommend it? What television show is either enthralling or disappointing you? What music has recently come across your earbuds that you are geeked about or that let you down? This is your opportunity to share with Lonzo and I as we all broaden our horizons together. There are predominantly two things that Lonzo's engaged with right now that I'm very curious about, and we will start with a spoiler-free review. Lonzo last night, one of the first in the upstate to view Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which is, ladies and gentlemen, the jumping off point for the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Of course, we had already met Kang at the end of the Loki series, but this was his first movie or time that he was involved in it. I had heard, Lonzo, though it will not dictate whether or not I see the movie, because obviously I will. I had heard some not so inspiring reviews of Quantumania so far to this point. You saw it last night. Spoiler-free take.
All right. So as far as I usually have a bad CGI take, I do not in this movie. I didn't see one at all.
This movie's like primarily CGI.
Yeah. And from what I understand, they use the same staging how The Mandalorian did. Have you seen the behind the scenes where it's just a green screen all the way around you in the filming? Which a lot of the actors say it helps to get in the moment because you can actually see the landscape and all that kind of stuff on the green screen while you're doing your acting. I came out of there thinking it was good, but not great. And there are reasons why, which I'm not going to say here. I might say tomorrow on the Upstate Pulse if I'm alive. But I didn't see anyone coming out and go, man, that's the worst movie I've ever seen. It is not the best Marvel movie. I believe Matthew Causey down the hall, news guy, was with us. He said it was mid, and I agree. I think it was a little bit higher than mid, but this is the beginning of the next phase. And I think if you didn't watch Loki, then you have no idea how bad Kang is. And this takes it to another level. And there are many Kangs. Many Kangs. So, and Kang is going to be involved in almost everything going forward for a while, for the next couple of years. So, and I will say, and I've said this before, stay for the last after credit scene. There are two of them, but definitely stay for it. It's not ants playing drums. It's not something goofy. It really has relevance on the MCU going forward. So if you watch the movie, stick around all the way to the end to watch it. But if you've liked all the Marvel movies, go see it. Especially if you plan on watching any of the other ones that are coming out soon, because it's going to be linked to that, including it will be possibly linked to some other series that are coming up. So I would advise go see it if you're into these kind of movies.
If I recall correctly, and I read this, I think yesterday, it was the first MCU film that had gained a rotten rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes at all. Okay. They have rottened a lot of movies that I very much enjoyed. They have freshed a lot of movies I think were hot garbage. So I don't really trust it. But it's a start, right?
This movie could be fixed with one thing. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it could be fixed with one thing.
Okay. I will probably see it early next week because the weekend's booked up. So probably Monday or Tuesday after work, I'll go see it.
Well, we don't work Monday. So.
That's true. I will go see it Monday because the lady friend does work on Monday. Womp, 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 so I'll go see it. I haven't seen a lot of the spot that I think is Ant-Man is arguably, and by the way, Paul Rudd is a national treasure who should be protected at all costs. Okay. But Ant-Man was only interesting in the comic books, not because of his power. Ant-Man was interesting in the comic books because he was arguably the most regular human conflict-driven character, right? Like Ant-Man was not a good person as a character, but you had to juxtapose him being kind of a bad person in his regular day-to-day life with being a hero on a grand scale. And it was just an interesting case study. Ant-Man, played by Paul Rudd, there's not really much conflict there. He's just a genuinely likable, fun, goofy dude, which is great as a side guy. He's great as a character in Civil War, where you've got all the very serious superheroes having this big fight, and then here's Paul Rudd being Paul Rudd for your comedic pleasure. That works, but carrying a movie where they're putting up Ant-Man, even needing him for the concept of going down to the quantum world, putting him up against a bad guy who is, and I don't know how they're going to portray him after Loki, Lonzo, but in the comic books, Kang the Conqueror was more of a threat than Thanos ever was.
I will tell you, they do Kang justice.
Okay. All right.
You will go, that dude, I don't want to have anything to do with that guy.
So a dude who is a bigger threat to the universe than Thanos is going up against Paul Rudd. Yeah, that doesn't mean it can't work. I'm just saying I'm intrigued to see how it does. The other big thing that's going on in the pop culture world right now that I wanted to get into, for those of you that are gamers, there was obviously a lot of I don't know what the video game version of Off the Field would be, but a lot of background controversy about J.K. Rowling and the Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy video game that's come out. I've read up a bunch on it. I don't really necessarily have I think a lot of the problems are frankly contrived by people who are looking to be upset about something. And I'm last in line, most people in this building, to be like, well, you're looking to be upset. Like, I think a lot of people have a lot of I think when sometimes when people say this is problematic for me, it's very easy to go, well, it's not for me, and therefore it is not problematic. But I think sometimes people are just looking to be upset. I cannot play this game yet because I am one of the poor still stuck with Xbox One, and it doesn't drop for my console until April 4th. But Lonzo, the 1%er, does have the updated console and has been able to play this game. You've been on it for about a week now. What's your takeaway?
I am like 14 hours into it. It's a really big game. Takes a little bit to download, and I'm 14 hours into it and only 15%. So that would tell you how big this game really is. There's a lot of exploration. There are a lot of puzzles. There's a lot of combat. And I disagree with people who say I'm not tanking. I am tanking. When I'm talking about tanking, I'm not talking about like losing. A tank is you. In this case, I put a lot of points in health, and I don't block. I will dodge. I mean, I think dodging's fine. But the story itself is very good. This takes place like hundreds of years before Harry Potter happens. You get to explore not only Hogwarts, but Hogsmeade and a bunch of the hamlets around it. It's a very big map, which is surprising. I didn't know the map was going to be as big as it is. Once you get through the initial, the first, 20 minutes to an hour, you can just go out and explore. You don't have to do anything, although you should, because you're going to pick up spells by going to classes and things like that. And the classes are just side quests that you need to do. And you go do those, and they give you a new spell. And then, I've gone out and fought a bunch of bad wizards, wolves. There are some dung bugs who are wicked. And but overall, I'm having fun with the game. And the story is really good, too. It is expensive, though, because the price of games have gone up.
Yeah, the price of every game's gone up, and it's frustrating. That's why I've been such a Game Pass guy. Like, I'll pay the $11 a month. And here's the thing. I've probably tried out, Lonzo, over the past year. I've probably tried out 70, 80 different games on Game Pass, and there's like 2 that I still run through. But the ones I've run through have been well worth the price of admission. 6 months of Game Pass is one game, right? Price-wise. I'm big on No Man's Sky right now, but I'm also a huge space and exploration dork. So that's fun. You explore the universe and then also shoot some monsters. That's awesome. The lady friend hooked me up with a racing wheel setup for Christmas, and I feel awful. It's still in the box. I haven't broken it out yet, mainly because I kind of got over Forza. I was enjoying Forza for a while. I thought I would enjoy it more when I had a wheel and pedal setup.
Will it work on something like Need for Speed?
Yes, and that's where I need to jump to next, I think. I will tell you one thing, and I don't know if this is just me. I used to love the NASCAR games because they were just straightforward racing, right? But like the Need for Speed games went from a street racing game to there's like a whole ass story behind it, right? And there's like NPCs and you got to deal with emotional and I'm like, I just want to drive a car fast. I just want to drive a car. Like, I don't want to have to make consequential decisions that change which garages I can and can't buy for. Like, I have $1 million because I want to race. I should be able to buy anything I want. Just let me play the game,
You know what you
please.
need? You need to find a family. You find a family, you'll be taken care of.
All right, so what are you guys playing? I will also say, I know they're not. But just in case Winona Judd and Martina McBride and Tanya Tucker are still in town, because I went to that concert at the Well last night. I'm in love with all three of you women. I'm in love with all three of you. You're all three amazing people. The band, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad about being a musician when you go to see traveling musicians. One of the things is I find myself in certain spots being more enamored with the band playing behind the title artist than the title artists themselves. Winona Judd has got a voice on her that is just, I could listen to her sing blues music for days at a time. Winona Judd should be mentioned alongside the likes of Reba McEntire and the Shania's, the great female vocalist of all time in the country music game. But the band she had playing with her last night was as tight and organized and orchestrated as I have seen in a very long time. So shout out to those guys as well, because they were incredible. They were incredible.
How's the fiddle?
Get Fiddle was beautiful, but they had a feller up there, Alonzo. They had a feller up there that I swear to you, he had to be about 70, 72, 75 years old playing a steel guitar.
I think it's prerequisite. You've got to be at least 60 to play the steel guitar.
To play the steel guitar, the lap guitar. He was crushing it, man. He's just tearing it up, setting the stage on fire. Also, by the way, it's pronounced fire.
Yeah, on the weekends, he's also in a gospel choir.
He might be.
Quartet.
And I'd go see it, too, just to listen to him play. He was unbelievable. Anyway, and by the way, Martina McBride, if you were still in town, I've already told the lady friend that I would leave her for you. So I'm just saying, call me. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we wrap up hour number one. Trey said, note to self, binge watch Loki before tomorrow. Have you not watched it yet? It's very good. Roger says he's currently gone back. GTA 5. Yes, Roger. GTA 5 deserves more love. Keegan says, I'm watching The Last of Us. He says, is it the best zombie show ever? It's a hard bar to say it's cleared. I will say we're 5 episodes in, and it is right there with The Walking Dead early season for me. Right there with the early portions of The Walking Dead. So I got to say, yeah, it's way, way up there. Way, way up there. Anybody else watching Last of Us but me? Back after this on The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Come on, right, so 15 minutes. You got this.
Major League Baseball, the Atlanta Braves have pitchers and catchers currently working out in spring training in Florida, and they'll have their full squad checking on Tuesday. The Grapefruit League game on February 25th. That's a week from Saturday when they take on the Boston Red Sox. Atlanta won 101 games last season, but lost in the playoffs. College basketball, Clemson hits the Louisville Saturday. They'll take on the Cardinals. The Tigers are coming off a 40-point win against Florida State. They're 19-7. South Carolina will be in Baton Rouge Saturday to take on LSU. The Gamecocks 9-17, 2-11 in the SEC, coming off a loss on Tuesday to Vanderbilt. Furman will host East Tennessee State Sunday. The Paladins at 21-7, 12-3 in the SoCon, and Wofford back in action Saturday facing the Citadel. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Tony Missouri, and that's your Sports Flash on The Fan Upstate.
I'm Taylor Bishotti with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Arizona Cardinals on Thursday officially head coach Jonathan Gannon, former Eagles coordinator, said he's excited to take over a team that already has a brand new quarterback. Around the playmaking abilities of Kyler Murray. Elsewhere, NFL Network insider
telling stories, but I haven't been.
All-pro right tackle Lane Johnson underwent surgery.
The Commanders and everything.
Torn adductor. Johnson has been dealing with the injury throughout the playoffs. And
The trio is back up.
12-week recovery. Saints running back Alvin Kamara was indicted Thursday by for an alleged assault last February in Las Vegas, along with the Bengals cornerback Chris Lamons and 2 other men. The NFL said in a statement it continues to monitor all legal developments in the matter, which remains under review of the personal conduct policy. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. When the prospect of divorce becomes a reality, you need a partner that you can count on. If you're a man in this situation, consider contacting Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men navigate complex legal matters for 30 years.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Greenville area attorneys. 55 Beatty Place, Suite 900, Greenville, South Carolina, 29601. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Are you working way too hard for way too little? There's never been a better time to consider a career in IT. You can enjoy a recession-resistant career in a rewarding field with plenty of growth opportunities and often flexible work environments. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You can start your new career in months, not years. Take classes online or on campus, and financial aid is available to qualified students, including the GI Bill. Now is the time. mycomputercareer.edu.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C. What's up? 3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost credit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is moving toward his new ride with Odyssey. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect and support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, any member of DIC.
Think I might make it. All I gotta do is make it home.
They all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional home industrial supply.
Hopefully Rob will come back. That would be nice.
Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, the ones who get it done.
Breaking news.
Tax refund shock is everywhere, but what is it?
My tax refund shrank.
Mine too. The culprit, pandemic-related stimulus payments and tax credits expiring. In this report's opinion, you need a tax expert.
Hey guys, Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest refund.
And tax prep is 50% off? Okay, there.
50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for details.
Temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So, if you test positive and are high risk, act fast. Even if your symptoms feel mild, ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer. This afternoon, clouds giving way to sun, high of 63.
Weather brought to you by the Specialized Recruiting Group. The Specialized
One thing I can't do is I can't play that game while I feel like this
Yeah.
because it's too much action. I can still play Skyrim, although I had the problem where all my NPCs were floating away again. So I had to go through and start disabling mods till they decided to stay on the ground. There's a mod where you start out as a relic hunter for a museum. It's really
I would
cool.
love that.
Yeah, it's called Legend of the Dragonborn. There's a bunch of other tie-ins to it. It's really good. All right, time for Twitter trending topics, where I tell Rob what is trending and he will let us know why. This is about as much gumption as I can get.
He's trying his best.
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah. The finish line is it's right over there. The first thing that's trending is Travis Kelce.
So Travis Kelce has kept the Super Bowl celebration lit, L-I-T. Frankly, have no idea why he's trending.
He's going to get me to do something that I haven't done in years, and I probably still will turn it off at some point because Saturday Night Live got stuck on Donald Trump and couldn't do anything else. Have they gone away from that?
No, dude, they do Biden cracks all the time.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah,
well.
I will say this. Like, I get it. Everybody thinks SNL is too political when their guy's in charge.
Well, no.
Everybody thinks that.
Here's what it used to be.
Because now I've got people who complained, who loved when Baldwin was doing Trump impressions, who are now mad that they are like, I was watching SNL the other day and they made a joke about Jill Biden. They were like, she should have to drop the doctor from her title because it's honorary, but she does have experience being a nurse. And they showed her next to Biden in one of his moments.
They've always done politics, and on both sides. I mean, the stuff with the Bushes were hilarious. It just seemed like that they got to the point where that's where all they were leaning on, and almost every skit had something to do with it. I don't mind having a skit, you know, at the beginning of the show, maybe the end of the show, but not every show. And Weekend Update also was, and I loved those guys when they first started. But then it was nothing but that. It's like, okay, make fun of your own guys some, make fun of some other stuff. And you know,
They do.
okay. All right. Well, I'm willing to give it a shot since Kelsey's on there. Going to be on there. It's like March 4th, I think, or something like that. All right. The next thing that's trending is Chris Jericho.
Break the walls down. I don't know why he's trending. I will give you two things. Number one, Jericho is still very good at putting together storylines and helping guys get over, but I genuinely feel the JAS has run its course. I will also say that I'm a big fan of the show Impractical Jokers, and Jericho having the Impractical Jokers power slam through a table was incredible, but I don't know why he's trending.
All right, he's trending because, speaking of the JAS, when someone said, "I love this hat," Jericho almost broke. There's a bunch of videos out there. You know, you're watching him talk about the hat and not watching Jericho. Watch. Speaking of Saturday Night Live, he almost lost it. I mean, it was all he could do to bring it back together, which he did. All right, and Jericho has been in an improv group before, so he's used to that kind of stuff.
He's been on that show before, and he's very funny. He's hilarious.
All right, the last thing that we really have time for is the Montreal screw job.
Listen, it may be a work, it may not. All I know is I choose to believe it actually happened because I suspend my disbelief with wrestling because it makes it more fun. And that story remaining true makes every storyline that's come since then more fun.
Sami Zayn was at a hockey game, dropped a bunch of screw job talk. So don't be surprised if he doesn't get screwed tomorrow.
Somebody said, watch for a dusty ending where Sammy wins and then they find a way to take the win back and give the belt back to Roman just to generate. Because let's be real, Roman would catch nuclear heat for that, it's WrestleMania season, dude. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. We are done for the day. We're done for the week. We're off on Monday, so we'll be back on Tuesday, and we will have Daytona 500 breakdown, NBA All-Star breakdown as we head into the second half of the season and plenty more. That's the great one. I am Rob Brown. Thank you all very much for letting us do what we do. We couldn't without you. See you back here on Tuesday on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later, brother.
Way to out-talk the bed, dude.
It's a short bed.
Was it?
Yeah, it's a short bed.
Are you sure?
No, but I'm going to claim that.
Okay. I don't know. That would require me counting, and I'm just not going to do that. Presto.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all are the best. Thank you very much for hanging out with us every day. I sincerely appreciate it. And we'll see you back here on Tuesday. See you then. Goodbye.